Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. After leaving Gato's estate in ruin, Naruto and Fu the Nanabi Jinchuriki made their way into the forests of Nami no Ku. Naruto turned to Fu. Let's stop here for now. There is something I have to do, Naruto said as he opened the large summoning scroll he was given by the old lady back at the tyrant's former home. In the scroll there were only 3 names were listed on the scroll, making Naruto the 4th person to sign it. Naruto bit his thumb and wrote his name in blood, then pressed his blood-covered fingers under it. Unlike a normal contract where the name remains red, his signature turned golden. Okay, let's try this, Naruto said as he preformed the hand signs for the summoning jutsu, then slammed his palm on the ground. In a grand plume of smoke the boss of the Jackal contract appeared before them. While he wasn't as big as Gamabunta, the 2 other boss-level toads, he was still large. The Jackal boss was about 3 stories tall with smooth black fur running down its back with golden fur covering the rest of its body. Who dares summon the Jackal boss Jakaru? The large dog-like summon demanded before looking down at the 2 humans in front of him. I summoned you, Naruto said as he took a step towards the large summon. The Jackal boss lowered its head so that it was now face to snout with the blonde demon. The large canine seemed to be examining the blonde as his eyes scanned the blonde's body. You smell of Bayu and have the same feel as one, only more natural, as if you were one with nature, the summon boss said to the blonde Jubi as it sniffed Naruto's scent. I see it now. You are the Jubi, aren't you, boy? Jakaru said to Naruto, who nodded. Naruto smiled up at the large animal. Yes, I am Naruto Namikaze, the Nadaime Jubi, Naruto said as he offered a hand to the Jakaru. The black-backed jackal moved one of its paws to shake Naruto's hand with one of his large claws. It is an honor to serve you, Jubi Dono. You may call on our clan whenever you wish. The Jackal clan specializes in tracking and scavenging. We are also fluent in fire and earth jutsu, but prefer to stay out of combat, the boss of the Jackal contract stated to the Demon Lord, who nodded. Thank you, Jakaru-san. Oh, and call me Naruto, okay, Naruto said to the boss, who nodded. Fu just watched the 2 interact since this wasn't her business. Very well, Naruto-sama. If that is all, then I'll be on my way, Jakaru said as he left in a plume of smoke. Naruto turned to Fu. Okay, let's get back to the main village, Naruto said as he placed a hand on Fu's shoulder and vanished into thin air, not noticing the slight red glow of a single Sha Ingen hidden in the shadows of the foliage. He may be a problem, the man said before he vanished into a swirl coming from his lone eye. Tazuna's house. Naruto and Fu appeared before the group. Kazumi was the first to react. Naruto-san, how did it go? Oldest Kunoichi asked the blonde. Naruto smirked and unsealed Gato's head and threw it on the table. The residents of the house gasped as they looked at the fear-stricken face of the man who had made their lives a living hell. He's dead, Tazuna said as tears gathered in his eyes at the sight of the man he hated dead. He's finally dead, he cried in cheer as he hugged his daughter. Inari looked at the head in shock. He had believed that Gato was invincible a few seconds before, but now here it was. Proof that the great Gato had fallen at last. He looked up at Naruto, who was talking with his team. Heroes do exist, he thought with a teary smile. So, were there any complications? The silver-haired Jonin asked as she stared at Fu. I ran into a Akatsuki member known as Hidden. He was a pain to get rid of since he can't be killed, Naruto said, much to the surprise of the team. They were shocked for 2 reasons. One was that the Hidden could not be killed according to Naruto. 2 was that Naruto fought Hidden and technically won. What do you mean that he can't be killed? Sayuri asked her lover. How is it possible for someone to be killable? I mean that he is literally immortal, Naruto said with a sigh. The 4 Kunoichi's jaws dropped at the motion that someone had gained immortality. How did he gain immortality? Narumi asked with wide eyes. Naruto frowned. He gained it by joining the Jashinist cult. They perform human sacrifices to please the god who in turn grants them immortality. While the cult seems like a choice that anyone in the shinobi business should do, the trails for joining the cult bring the body to a point where it would fail or the mind would break from pain. Also, the blessing of Jashin fills your mind with dark thoughts which slowly break away at your sanity. Naruto explained with a scowl at the thought of the cult. How do you know so much of the cult, Naruto? Fu asked the former Jinchuriki. I've fought a member before. They're a pain in the beat since the only way to do so would be cut of their limbs and restrain them. Trap them so they can't move. Completely obliterate the body. Drain their chakra, which is hard to do since they rarely use ninjutsu or genjutsu. And lastly, you can rip their souls out of their body. Naruto explained to the kunoichi, who nodded to show that they understood. Kazumi looked at Fu. So, who are you and where do you fit the tale on how Naruto killed Gato? The kunoichi asked the green-haired girl. I was going to be sold to the Akatsuki by Gato since I am the Jinchuriki of the Nanabe. Fu said with a scowl at the thought of what almost became her fate. Naruto rescued me and the other slaves, so I decided to come with him back to Konoha. The dark-skinned girl said with a small smile at the thought of her savior. That explains why the Akatsuki were here, but that still doesn't tell us how Gato got a Jinchuriki. Kazumi stated in confusion. They sold me to him so that they could get rid of me. The council back at Taki decided that I was too much of a risk, so one day I was attacked, bound with chains and seals. Then shipped off to Gato's. Fu told her story of betrayal. Narumi brought her into a hug. I'm sorry for all you had to go through. The blonde said with a few tears threatening to spill out. It wasn't your fault. It was those bastard in Taki who were at fault. Fu said with a wide smile. Naruto smiled at the interaction. The blonde noticed Zabuza leaning against the wall at the other side of the room. Walking over to him, Naruto smiled. Well, it seems like your information was correct. Naruto said. Naruto pulled out a scroll. As promised, this scroll has the location where you and the Anbu will meet. It also has the password that you will need to know in order for them to follow you. Naruto said as he handed the scroll over to the swordsman. Root. Naruto called out as a Anbu appeared next to him in Shunshin. Naruto pulled out another scroll. Give this scroll to the Hokage. The Root Anbu nodded and Shunshin to complete his mission. Wow. For a second I thought that you had been bluffing about having Anbu at your command. Zabuza said with a smirk that was hidden by the bandages over his mouth. So, how about we have a battle now? Swords and taijutsu only. No genjutsu, ninjutsu, or dojutsu. Zabuza suggested putting extra emphasis on the word dojutsu since he knew he stood no chance in hell of beating the blonde if he used his Tangan. Naruto smirked. I believe that that's a great idea. Let's go outside, Naruto said as he led Zabuza out of the house. The others who had heard the challenge followed to see the fight. Both fighters faced each other as they got into their stances. Ready? Zabuza asked the blonde who nodded. Haku, be the ref. Zabuza ordered his apprentice. The ice user nodded, stepping forward. Fight, she said as she threw her arms down. Zabuza wasted no time as he charged straight at Naruto, who brought his sword up to block the horizontal strike from the missing Nin. Naruto disengaged as he jumped back before running at Zabuza in a zigzag pattern and delivering his cut from the right, which Zabuza blocked with his massive blade. Before Zabuza could retaliate, Naruto vanished from Zabuza's sight in a burst of speed. The Nuke Nin's honed battle instincts told him that he was in danger. The browless man turned in time to block another attack from Naruto. The two blades clashed with each other, sending sparks everywhere as the two grinned against each other. You're good. Zabuza laughed out in joy of finding someone who could give him a good sword fight. Zabuza jumped back and threw the large Zabatu at Naruto, who leapt over it towards Zabuza. The former swordsman of the mist sidestepped Naruto's vertical slash and ran to his sword that was stuck on the trunk of a tree. Naruto ran at Zabuza to try to stop him from retrieving his blade, but was forced to duck when Zabuza reached the handle and swung a wide attack. Seeing an opening, Naruto launched forward in an attempt to skewer the browless man. Zabuza managed to move enough so that Naruto's blade only scratched his lower chest. Zabuza ignored the pain and took another swing at our blonde hero, only for said demon to jump on the flat side of the blade, which was followed by a swift kick to Zabuza's jaw. The former mist shinobi went flying back but stopped himself by stabbing his blade into the ground. Naruto rushed at the Nuke Nin to try to finish the match. Zabuza had the same idea and charged at the blonde as well. Right before they clashed, Naruto blurred from existence. What? Zabuza thought in surprise. Behind you, Naruto said calmly as he stood with his back to Zabuza. The missing nin turned only to be hit in the chest with a heavy kick that launched him back with neck-breaking force. Zabuza's flight was cut short by a tree which nearly fell over from the force of the collision. Naruto appeared in front of Zabuza with his sword to Zabuza's neck. "I win," Naruto said with a neutral expression that showed no emotions. Zabuza saw it now. He saw what Naruto really was. He was someone who had seen every horror war had to offer, seen every single person he loved killed, and would do anything in his power to prevent those who were important to him from dying. Outside of battle, he was a friend, but once engaged in combat, he was a warrior who would end a life if it meant accomplishing his goals. He was someone he could respect. "I must admit, you're good, Gaki," Zabuza said with a light chuckle. "I give." Naruto smiled and removed his blade from Zabuza's neck. "That was good fight," Naruto said. 1 week later, Naruto, his team, Haku, and Fu stood at the end of the bridge. It had taken a week for Tazuna and his builders to finish the bridge after Naruto had taken out Gato. With the money Naruto had given to the village, the economy flourished now. Zabuza had explained to Haku that he had to leave and that she had to go with Naruto to Konoha. While she did protest leaving him, he accepted after Zabuza confessed that he thought of her like a daughter and that he didn't want her to see the kind of war like that in Kiri at such a young age. Naruto now wore a new outfit that he had made using the Banbutsu Sozo. He wore a black t-shirt with a white X on the chest with black Anbu-style pants boots. Over this he wore a white coat that split at the waist into 10 tails that reached his ankles with a high collar that had 10 points. On the back was the image of the Rinnegan with 9 tomo under it. Around his neck a Magatama necklace with 6 red beads. He had to admit, these clothes felt more like they belonged than the ones that Kami gave him a few months ago. "Zabuza, I received a notice yesterday that the route Anbu have been mobilized and will be there when you arrive at Umi no Kuni," Naruto said with a small smile knowing that he was helping in ending the bloodline wars. Zabuza nodded. "Thank you, Naruto-sama. I hope to see you one day when I'm Mizukage," the browless man said. "Please don't call me Naruto-sama," Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head. Zabuza laughed at this. "I miss you, Zabuza-sama," Haku said with a sad smile knowing that she was parting ways with the man who raised her and saved her life back in Mizu no Kuni. "H-chan, just stay safe, Haku-chan, and remember if any boy in Konoha tries to touch you inappropriately without your permission, I give you the right to kill them," the man said with a smirk as he saw his daughter figure blush from what he was saying. "Well, I believe that we should get going now," Kazumi said to her group as she started to walk away while reading her orange book. The group nodded and followed closely behind her. Naruto stayed a second and handed a Harashin kunai to Tazuna. "If anyone ever tries to threaten your country like Gato did, don't be afraid to summon me," Naruto said before he left after his group. Hearing a bird's cry, Naruto looked up to see a Konoha messenger hawk circling over him. Whistling at it, the bird flew down towards Naruto leaving a scroll for him. Opening it, he read the message from the Hokage. It was a message telling him that the Chunin exams would be in Konoha like he said that it would. "This time I'll make sure that Orochimaru doesn't get his mark on his target," Naruto thought. Konoha. After Naruto and his team had arrived, Naruto and Kazumi had given the Hokage the mission report. Haku and Fu had been given temporary asylum in the village under the Namikaze household until further notice. After Kazumi left, the real conversation began. "Rokudaime Dono, the war council has gathered," Hiruzen said as he motioned for Naruto to follow him through a fake wall on the side of the room. Within were 6 chairs around a large round table with a map of the elemental nations. Out of the 6 chairs, 4 of them were filled. The 4 who were already there were Shikaku Nara. The next was the Anbu commander who was dressed in a white cloak and black trousers with bandages tied around his right leg, arm guards, gloves and black sandals. He also had brown, spiky hair and wears a mask with a dog motif inclusive of pointer ears, detailed eyebrows and 3 thick stripes with 2 along either sides of his cheek and 1 on his forehead. Next was Danzo Shimura and lastly Jiraiya of the Sannin. "Looks like we are all here," Hiruzen said. Naruto looked around. The group consisted of some of the top officers in Konoha, the Anbu commander, the main strategist, the most powerful Sannin, the leader of Route Anbu, the current Hokage and himself, the Rokudaime Hokage. Everyone in the room was one of the few people who knew that he was from a dimension. So how are we going to handle the invasion? The Anbu commander asked the other 5 in the room. Hiruzen looked over at Naruto. Rokudaime Dono, how was the invasion in your world before? The Hokage asked the demon lord. Naruto closed his eyes as he remembered that day. The attack was completely unexpected. The village was not ready for the strike, which resulted in a large number of casualties. Orochimaru's plan was to let the 8-tailed Jinchuriki rampage within the village while several 3-head snakes are summoned away from the village, which broke through the walls of the village. In the Chunin exam stadium, Kabuto Yakushi placed a genjutsu over the civilian while several Odo and Na shinobi dressed as like civilians attacked. Orochimaru would then attack the Sand-A while his elite guard create a barrier trapping the 2 inside. He would then use the Edo Tensei to revive the Shodai and Nadai to help him. Naruto explained the event that happened on the day that he lost his GG. I think I got an idea. Shikaku said to himself as he started to think of a counter against the plan. I propose that we alert the Anbu about the invasion and the experienced Jonin. We will announce the plan to the Chunin and lower-ranking Jonin over headsets right before the invasion, since the biggest chance that a spy would be a Chunin or Genin. The Nara clan head. What about the summons? Danzo asked. I say that the remains of your route strike the groups in charge of the summons. Jiraiya-sama his summons to guard the village gate and make sure that they don't get more ninja into the village. Namikaze-sama will take care of the Jinchuriki, then go and the Sand-A in battle with Orochimaru. The Nara leader explained to the rest, who nodded at the plan. Very well, go with your plan, Shikaku. This council meeting is over. We shall meet once more after the second exam. Hiruzen said to the others who left in Shunshin or Horizon in Naruto's case. Naruto jumped from roof to roof as he made his way through the village. In 2 days was the start of the Chunin exams and his team was in it. Hearing yelling, he came to the familiar sight, Kankuro picking on Konohamaru. Really? This again? Naruto thought as he jumped down from the roofs behind the Suna shinobi. You know that picking of the Hokage's grandson could lead to problem between our villages. Naruto whispered into the cat man's ear. The Suna ninja quickly paled as he dropped the kid. Temari on the other hand couldn't help but blush. He's hot, the blonde thought as a faint blush dusted her cheeks. Good. Now can you please tell me what this boy did that you a shinobi would have to threaten him? Naruto asked with an overly sweat smile as he leaked a bit of killer intent that caused a redhead watching from the trees to blush at the bloodlust. I'm sorry, sir. It was a misunderstanding, Kankuro said, raising his hands in defense from the blonde, who smirked at the puppet user's reaction. Naruto smiled in satisfaction, turning to Temari. Nice to meet you, beautiful. May I know your name? He said to the fan user, causing her entire face to go red. Temari, she said as she looked at the ground. The girl intrigued glared down at the blonde kunoiki who had gained the attention of the blonde man. Nice to meet you, Temari-chan. Naruto said as he took her right hand and planted a kiss on it. He always did have a crush on the desert kunoiki in his world but never had time to ask her out. Turning to one of the trees near the road, you can come out, you know. Naruto said. In a swirl of sand, a red-haired beauty appeared before the 3 shinobi. She had dark red hair that reached her mid-back and parted on the left, leaving the kanji for love exposed on her forehead with a bang framing her left side. Like Gaara, she had back lining around her eyes. Her emotionless emerald green witch held a radiant beauty behind them, buried behind all the pain she had lived through. She wore a black full-body suit with t-shirt-like sleeves, 3/4 length legs, and an open neck. With this, she wore a pink cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of her hips, and a wide leather band system over the left shoulder and right side of her hips. With this leather band, she carried around her gourd that contains her sand. She also wrapped her black forehead protector over the band. However, what really got Naruto's eyes were her perky D cups. Damn you, Jiraiya, Naruto thought. Kankuro, I thought I told you to not cause any commotion. The female Gaara said with a bit of killer intent and bloodlust. The puppet user tried to defend himself, but only earned another blast of ki from the red-haired Jinchuriki silenced him. Quiet, or I'll kill you, she said in a dark tone. Turning to Naruto, a nearly unnoticeable pink dusted her cheeks. I apologize for my brother's foolish actions. Naruto waved it off. It's okay, but may I know your name? Naruto said with a kind smile, which caused both the female Gaara and Temari to blush a bit darker. It's Gaara, she said in a neutral tone that betrayed no emotion. Naruto grinned. I'm Naruto Namikaze, current head of the Namikaze clan and genin of Konoha. Naruto said to the shock of the 3 sand shinobi in front of him. Naruto mentally smirked at their reaction. At least they didn't mistake me as the my father, Naruto thought with a mental sigh of relief. Gaara bowed lightly. Nice to meet you, Namikaze-san. While she wasn't one for formalities to someone she didn't know, she knew that the blonde must have some political sway if he was a clan head. Naruto's sweat dropped at this. Please, Naruto is fine. Calling me that makes me feel old, Naruto said with a smile. He discreetly placed a hand on his sword and formed a connection to Gaara in the afterlife. Yo, Gaara, are you there? Naruto asked, but made sure to block out any chance that Gaara had of entering the conversation since he didn't need an unknown know his secret. Yes, I am, Naruto. What is it? Gaara asked the blonde. He could almost feel the former Hokage's grin. I finally found your counterpart, and I have to say, dude, she is hot. Naruto responded with a smirk as Gaara's irritation flowed from the sword. I thought I told you to never mind. You wouldn't listen anyways, Gaara said as he rubbed the bridge of his nose back in heaven. Just take care of her, Gaara said as he cut the connection to avoid any further headache. We'll be leaving now, Gaara said as she motioned for her siblings to follow her. He was cute, she thought to herself, but hesitated a bit when the foreign word came to mind. Please, he'll just betray you like everyone else will. Remember that you can only trust your mother, Shukaku said to her from her mind as he tried to devour as much of her sanity he could through the broken seal that placed on the girl. He could feel the power that the boy held and didn't want to give the blonde the chance to suppress him. Yes, mother, Gaara thought back to the Bayu who laughed like a maniac from her mind as he tried to crush all hope she had about finding someone who could understand her. Good, now get me some more blood, mother demands, Shukaku said with a dark crackle. But before Gaara could respond, Naruto called out to her. Hey, want to hang out a bit tomorrow? I would love to get to know someone from a different village. Naruto said with a large grin. He would help her out as much as he can so that she doesn't go on a rampage like Gaara did all those years ago. Don't, child. He'll just betray you just like that traitorous uncle did, Shukaku roared as he desperately tried to convince her of rejecting the hand of friendship offered to her by bringing up one of the most painful moments of her life. No, Gaara said coldly as she walked away from the blonde who frowned at the response. He knew he would have to do something about that dog Shukaku who was manipulating her from the inside. Naruto's smile returned back at full force. Okay then, see you at the Chunin exams, Naruto said as he walked away from the who looked back at him wondering the same thing. How did he know? 2 days later, Naruto and his team walked into the academy building as they prepared to take the Chunin exams. Neither Sayuri or Narumi knew about the invasion since they were genin, so Naruto couldn't tell them anything. His team stopped in front of a door. What is this? Sayuri growled as she saw an illusion over the door showing the wrong number. Drop the ill. She was cut off by Naruto who covered her mouth. Be quiet, Sayu-chan. It was put there to weed out the weak and foolish, Naruto whispered as he pushed her along. Stop right there, you three. We have taken the exams over 10 times and still failed. What makes you think that academy fresh genin like you can? One of the two who stood in front of the door said, letting out a spike of ki to let them know just who he was. Are you saying that the Namikaze head, Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and the last loyal Uchiha aren't really? Naruto said as his Tengen flashed for a split second. Both guards paled as they realized just who they had insulted. Both quickly ran away, pushing a few genin out of the way as they ran. I challenge you to a spar. A boy with overly thick eyebrows and bowl haircut wearing a green skin-tight jumpsuit and green leg warmers yelled as he pointed at Sayuri. Behind him both his teammates looked embarrassed. No, Naruto said in a firm tone. Who are you? Sayuri asked. I'm Konoha's beautiful green wild beast, Rock Lee, he said as he did a nice guy pose. Now I demand a spar from you, Sayu-chan, he said as he pointed at the Uchiha once again. I said no, Naruto said in a firm tone once again. In his world, Sasuke had lost badly and it contributed to him turning to the path of evil. Oh, you're Yondaime-sama, Rock Lee said as he realized who he was talking to. Naruto's face faltered before glaring at the green-wearing genin. I am not Minato Namikaze. I am Naruto Namikaze. Naruto yelled at the boy who took a step back at the large amount of ki to him that exploded from the blonde. My apologies, Naruto-kun. Lee said as he bowed before going on about he would run 200 laps around the village if he ever forgot Naruto's name again. Whatever, Naruto said as he and his team entered the exam room. The room was filled with Chunin hopefuls who upon seeing Naruto and his team decided to try to intimidate them with their ki, which Naruto thought was pathetic. This, however, was put to an end when one of the shinobi from Iwa yelled out something that really pissed Naruto off. It's the Yondaime Hokage. The shinobi yelled out, which launched the whole room into an uproar of shuas. Really? An entire room of genin think that I'm my father? Naruto thought as he released a bit of his killer intent, which caused everyone in the room to pale. I am not Minato Namikaze. Naruto said through gritted teeth. Seeing the state of everyone in the room caused Naruto to sweat drop. This is going to be easy, Naruto said as he and his team, followed by Team 9, walked into the room. The other Konoha team was shocked to see the power that Naruto had. To be able to bring down a room of ninja, even if they were genin, was an achievement considering he was also a genin. Naru-kun. Naruto heard from behind as Ino ran and jumped into his arms. Naruto had decided to take her as one of his official girlfriends after the mission to Nami no Kuni. Ino quickly claimed his lips, leading into a quick makeout session. He's not all yours, you know, Inako's voice said from the door as she and her team entered the room. Behind her was Shino and Hinata. Now, one would expect that Hinata would still be the shy but kind girl she was always, right? Wrong. In this world, she was a significantly colder and much more confident Hyuga, like most of her family. He had found that without someone to look up to as a role model, she ended up breaking down. Quite much, Hinata said as she walked past her teammates and up to Narumi. A faint blush dusted her cheeks. Narumi-chan, would you like to come over to the Hyuga compound after this exam is over to have a little fun? The Hyuga heiress said to the blonde Namikaze. Hinata-san, I already told you that I'm in a relationship already and I don't play for that team. Narumi cried out. The Hyuga heiress had been trying to get her to agree to go out with her since the academy, but she had told her time and time again that she was in love with someone else. The Hyuga activated her Byakugan and glared at Naruto. I will have her one day, she said before storming off. Naruto sweat dropped as at the Hinata's behavior. He knew that she was still loyal to the village and had a heart deep inside as shown for her love of Narumi. You guys should learn to be quiet, yo. A silver-haired genin from Konoha that Naruto knew all too well. He wasn't able to finish his sentence as Naruto planted his fist into his gut. Shut it, snake, Naruto growled as he tossed him towards the man's teammates. Everyone looked at Naruto in shock but decided not to say anything in fear that they would suffer the same fate to the glasses-wearing genin. Naruto would have killed him, but that would have alerted Orochimaru to their plans to take him out. All right, no more fighting. A voice boomed out as Ibiki Morino, a large man wearing a black trench coat and bandana-style forehead protector, ordered. Any more fighting and you'll be disqualified. The T&I expert threatened. Naruto looked at Ibiki and nodded. Walking over to his seat, he found himself between the pissed of Hinata, who was glaring at him for stealing the girl she wanted, and Iwa Shinobi, who was glaring at him for being related and looking like the Yondaime who had decimated their forces several years ago. The first exam is a written exam. You have 1 hour to answer the 9 questions given to you and 1 more at the end. If you are caught cheating, you will lose 2 points of your total score the first time, for the second and 6th the last time, which will be an instant failure. If your score is less than 1 when the exam ended, then you and your teammates are disqualified. Ibiki explained the rules of the test. They were a bit different from the time he took them, but they were similar enough. Naruto answered all the questions within a few minutes thanks to his amount of experience in the battlefield. He looked around and decided to take a nap. Our blonde demonic hero was awoken by Ibiki telling everyone that there was 10 minutes left and he would giving the finale question. This finale question is different from the rest. If you want, you can leave now and take the test again in 6 months. The scared special Jonin said. Why would we quit? We already took the other questions. Inako asked the proctor. Ibiki smirked, because if you get this question wrong, then you will be barred from ever taking a Chunin exam in any country or village ever again. He said with a sadistic smirk as all the Jonin gasped at what he was implying would happen. But that's not fair, Tamari protested. There are people here who have taken the exam several times before and they never had to do this stupid question. Well, your group was unfortunate enough to get me as the proctor, so I make the rules. Now choose. And just like over half the teams quit, including a team with a certain weak pink-haired banshee who was glaring at her for quitting. Unlike last time, Naruto didn't yell out that it was __, since he didn't have to worry about Sakura quitting. After most of the teams left, leaving only about 23 teams left. Well then, all of you who remained, you pass. Abiki said with a smirk at all the shocked faces he was receiving from the remaining Jonin. In the shinobi world, you sometimes have to make hard decisions. In the field, bad information could lead your team to their doom. He said as he removed his bandana, showing everyone the burn scars and holes in his head. He put back on the bandana and was about to continue when he was interrupted by something sewing through the window. In front of the room now was what had just broken the window with a large banner behind her. The banner read, "The in single second exam proctor, Anko Mitarashi." The woman known as Anko had light brown, pupil-less eyes and violet hair, which is styled in a short, spiky, fan ponytail. She wore a tan overcoat with a purple inseam, which had a pocket on both sides, and complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs. She wore a dark orange mini skirt, as well as a forehead protector, a small pendant that looks like a snake fang on a thick cord other than a chain to prevent it from being easily torn off in combat, a wristwatch, and pale gray shin guards. She also wore a dark blue belt around her waist that connects to her skirt that has an appendage-like sash. Come on, brats. I'm the second proctor, Anko Mitarashi. Now, let's get going, she said before seeing Naruto. Smirking, she shunshined over to him and wrapped her arms around his neck from behind. Oh. Naruto-kun, you're in the exams, she whispered into his ear. The two had a weird relationship. She would try to seduce him while he would do the same, yet they weren't an official couple yet. Naruto smiled. He had always found Anko's sadistic yet playful personality was always something that made a good day into a great day for Yes, I am Anko-chan. Maybe after this, I could take you to dinner, Naruto asked with a charming smile. Oh, you want to take little old me to dinner, huh? We'll see, she said before shunshining back in front of the room. Anko, you're early again, Abiki said as he pushed his way through the banner. Anko looked extremely embarrassed. Who cares? She said as she turned to the large group. Meet me in the forest of death in 10 minuets, you're out, she said before she jumped out another window, which caused Abiki to sigh once again. Naruto and his team stood at one of the gates to the dangerous training ground. After the first exam, everyone who passed was led on a wild goose chase after Anko until they arrived at the forest of death. Once they got there, Anko explained the rules of the second exam. Half of the genin that passed the first exam would get an Earth Scroll, while the other half would get a Heaven Scroll. The teams would then be released into the Forest of Death, which was full of dangerous animals and plants that could kill a chunin if not careful. His team had gotten an Earth Scroll and were a few minutes from entering the forest. The blonde Juubi turned to his teammates. Be careful out there, he said as he handed a Hiraishin kunai to each of them. If you two get into any danger, don't hesitate to summon me, Naruto said before the doors opened. He wasn't allowed to tell them about Orochimaru, since it could compromise the plan to counter the invasion, and he couldn't risk Orochimaru learning about the plan. It'll be all right, Naru-kun. Both me and Sayuri-chan are at least high chunin level. Narumi reassured him that they would be fine, but Naruto knew that a chunin stood no chance against Orochimaru. Yeah, Naru-kun, everyone knows we are the best genin team in the village, Sayuri said with no small amount of pride in her voice as the doors opened. The team ran into the forest and took to the trees to quicken their pace. Don't get overconfident, Naruto said. After a few hours of traveling, they ran into a group of rain ninja who they quickly disposed of. Unfortunately, they had the wrong scroll, and they had to continue to search for another team. By the end of the first day, they were about a third of the way to the tower, but had no scroll. They could have made it to the tower by now if they didn't have to get the scroll. Out of the 3 teams they faced so far today, they all had Earth Scrolls. Naruto cursed his luck since there was a higher chance now that they would run into Orochimaru in the forest. Time skip. Morning. Naruto woke up early with the sound of a scream. What the hell? Naruto thought as he went searching for the source of the scream. He tracked it down to a red-haired girl with glasses who was about to be mauled by a massive bear. Isn't that Karen from Sasuke's team's group? Naruto asked himself before he acted. He jumped in front of the bear and held out his hand. Shinra Tensei, he exclaimed as the bear was blasted back. Naruto turned to the red-haired girl who scrambled to get her glasses on. Once on, she got a clear look of Naruto and his chakra. It felt so warm to her, yet wild like a lion. Just the feel of the chakra made her blush. He could see that her teammates had been killed by the bear if the blood on the claws and teeth gave anything away. Are you okay? Naruto asked as he took a knee next to her. Karen nodded slowly as she tried to control her blush. Why, yes, she said, but stumbled forward onto Naruto. Her blush intensified 100-fold as she felt his muscles under his shirt. I sprained my ankle, she said softly. Naruto realized that this was a drastically different Karen than in his world. She hadn't been corrupted by Orochimaru yet. I'll make sure you get to the tower safe, he said as he summoned 3 clones a horse-sized jackal. The blonde Bayu placed the redhead on the canine. When you get to the tower, give them this, he said as he handed her a scroll. This scroll puts you under the protection of my clan, he said. Thank you, she said before the jackal started to move out with the clones around it. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto said as he made several clones and sent them into the forest. Naruto motioned for his team to stop suddenly. Below them was his group of Iwa shinobi. Watch, Naruto said with a small smirk before he vanished in a blur. On the ground below them, the Iwa team was talking. We should go after the Namikaze group, the leader said. He and the rest of his team wore the typical Iwa shinobi outfit. But Onoki-sama said that we were not to target Minato Namikaze's family for revenge. One of the other 2 said with a bit of fear in his voice since he had felt Naruto's ki in the first exam and he didn't want to feel that power again. Screw that old man. He may have forgiven that bastard Namikaze, but the rest of Iwa hasn't. He wasn't someone who lost a loved one to the bastard during the war. The last one said in an angry tone. Exactly. If we kill them, then we'll be heroes in the village. We might even be given positions on the council or even replace that fossil with someone who isn't senile. The leader said with a smirk as he thought about what he thought would happen if they killed the Namikazes. The other 2 now shared the same smirk. Such unhealthy ambition, a voice said from behind them. They turned to see Naruto Namikaze leaning against a tree. Well, look who's here. With your death, we'll be legends, the leader said as he charged at the blonde who smirked. Know your place, mortal, Naruto said with a dark grin. Jinten missile punch, Naruto said before delivering a high-speed punch to the leader's chest. The punch was so powerful that it ripped through his clothing and turned the Iwa shinobi's rib cage to dust. The shinobi went flying back from the force, only stopping when he collided with a large tree which nearly fell over from the force. Time to end this, Kaiten demon lanterns, Naruto whispered. Several fireballs formed floating the air which then took the form of demonic heads. The demon heads then shot forward. The jutsu set everything the heads touched into an inferno. Several trees fell to the ground as the flames burned them down. In the trees, Narumi and Sayuri looked on in awe. They could hear the screams of pain from the Iwa team echoing in the forest. Sayuri was the first to speak after the little performance. Do you think he would teach me that jutsu? Sayuri asked her best friend. Narumi was snapped out of her state of shock by her friend's question. I don't think so. That has to be at least a rank jutsu. She answered her harem sister's question. Sayuri pouted at the Namikaze's answer. Don't be so sad, SA-chan. I'll teach it to you when I feel you can handle it, Naruto said from behind her. Sayuri turned to him and hugged him while chanting thank yous. Naruto was about to say something when he felt a familiar presence. Amaterasu, Naruto yelled while releasing a wave of black fire at a tree. A shadow jumped away from the tree before the black flames could touch the shinobi. Fufufu, it seems like one of the little genin has quite a potent attack. I had no idea there was another Mangekyo Sharingan user alive, a disembodied voice said. Naruto flared his ki causing the creepy chucking to stop. Well, it seems that you have quite a bit of bite, Naruto-kun. Naruto had to refrain himself from yelling out at Orochimaru to come out and face him. Orochimaru might have been an insane psychopath, but he wasn't considered a genius for nothing. If he called Orochimaru out by his name, that would tip the snake Sannin off that something was wrong. Come on out, Narumi yelled out as she drew her katana. The creepy laugh returned as a grass ninja came out from the side of a tree. You seem confident, Orochimaru said in a fake female voice. Narumi and Sayuri dropped to their knees when he flared his own ki. Both girls had visions of their own deaths at the hands of Orochimaru. They knew that this wasn't what could happen, but rather what would happen if they fought him. Orochimaru was genuinely surprised to see Naruto not only completely ignoring his ki but putting out an even larger amount himself. T put even the snake Sannin on edge. It seems you're a cut above the re. Before he could finish, Naruto had already landed several punches on his front. Fast, he thought as he flew back but flipped in midair and landed on a tree branch. Thanks to Orochimaru being distracted by Naruto, the killer intent loosened enough so that Sayuri and Narumi could stand up. Naruto looked at his two lovers. Naru-chan, Saya-chan, you two have to run. I'll keep him busy, Naruto said as he released the first seal so that he was now at 4 tails of power, which was how much it looked to almost kill Orochimaru in his world. Naruto's appearance changed from remaining in his human form. He now had 4 white tails coming out of his tailbone. His whiskers darkened and elongated while his canines became longer and sharper. His eyes changed to that of the Tengen as he glared at the Sannin. Time to die, Naruto said before he shot forward at Orochimaru. Both girls were shocked at the change but listened to Naruto in the end since they knew that they would only get in his way. Orochimaru chucked. So, a little genin thinks he can take me on by himself. The snake summoner said to the blonde who glared back at him. On the outside, he seemed confident, but on the inside, Orochimaru was slightly disturbed by the amount of power coming off of Naruto. You're a genin too, right? Naruto said with a slight smirk. So, you mustn't be that powerful, Naruto said as he tried to punch Orochimaru in the face, but the snake Sannin sidestepped it and countered with a kick to Naruto's face. Naruto corrected himself as charged back at the snake summoner. The snake user let a dozen snakes fly out of his sleeves at towards, but much to his surprise, Naruto blurred out of existence and appeared next to Orochimaru and delivered another attack to the side of his face. Ginton Meteor Strong Leg, Naruto yelled out as he did a Ginton version of Rock Lee's Leaf Hurricane. The attack was too fast that Naruto's foot looked as if it was covered in flames of youth before it slammed into Orochimaru's face. The snake pedo Sannin flew through several trees before stopping. Not wanting to be outdone by a kid, Orochimaru opened his mouth to allow a fully restored version of himself out as if molting his damage. The disguise was gone now, and now before him stood Orochimaru in his real form. It seems that you are not to be underestimated, but it's too late now. Sene Tajashu. Many hidden shadow snake hands. Several large snakes shot out of Orochimaru's arm and at Naruto. Shinra Tensei. Naruto said, let out a pulse of power which turned the snakes into a bloody pile of snake parts. Naruto held out his right hand, which mechanically transformed into a complex metallic cannon-like weapon, but with several barrels. Die, Naruto said coldly as he released a large amount of chakra bullets at the snake Sannin, who replaced himself with a mud clone, but several trees weren't so lucky as they now sported several hundred holes. Naruto instantly felt a presence behind him. Another robotic arm ripped out through his clothing from his left shoulder and caught Orochimaru's sword before it could cut him in half. The blonde demon's other arm bent backwards at 160 degrees and opened up, like releasing several wires that went to wrap Aaron. Orochimaru. The snake Sannin managed to dodge wires, but had to leave his sword behind in the hands of Naruto. Damn it. Futon great breakthrough, the Sannin said as he exhaled a large and powerful gust of wind towards the Jubi. Naruto used Ginton to move out of the way, then charged up a Rasengan and ran at Orochimaru. The snake Sannin ran towards Naruto as well, with the Kusanagi pointed forwards in a stabbing motion. The second before they clashed, Naruto vanished without a trace. Orochimaru felt a strong pain in his back as Naruto pushed his demonic Rasengan into his spine. Not wanting to be impaired from spinal damage, he regurgitated a fresh version of himself. Naruto growled at the Sannin, who had once again escaped his death. That's it. No more playing around, Naruto roared out as he made 2 shadow clones. The three Narutos started to form a Rasengan. Only this one was bluish-white and had 4 long curved blades. Naruto raised his hand up high with the S-rank jutsu up into the air. Futon. Rasen Shuriken, Naruto said before throwing the powerful attack. Orochimaru tried to dodge the attack, but Naruto manipulated the attack into him. The Rasen Shuriken hit Orochimaru and took him far into the air before it expanded. The expanded form of the jutsu was almost as big as the forest itself. All over the village, everyone looked at the white sphere in the sky in both awe and fear. Inside the attack, Orochimaru felt each and every microscopic blade of wind cutting his chakra network and muscle cells. Once the attack ended, the snake Sanon's body fell from the sky and landed in front of Naruto unceremoniously. This is the end, Orochimaru, Naruto said as he drew a kunai. Fufufu, you fool. All I was doing was distracting you. Orochimaru laughed weakly. What? Naruto shouted in shock. Orochimaru smirked weakly as he started to decompose at a rapid rate. What you were fighting was a type of clone called a blood clone. An almost perfect replica of the original with equal amount of chakra and strength. By now, both your little girlfriends have my curse marks. He laughed out before completely decomposing away. Naruto didn't even think about it as he harassed to Sayuri's location. Naruto appeared next to the female Uchiha who was rolling in pain as she clutched the side of her neck. Shit, Naruto yelled as he ran towards the girl. Fuinjutsu Heavenly Sealing, Naruto said as he placed his palm over her curse seal. Removing it revealed that there was now a ring around it with 10 triangles pointing outward. Sayuri opened her eyes and looked at the Naruto. To her, his image looked blurred, but she knew it was him. Naru-kun, Narumi-chan is fighting that monster, she said before losing consciousness. Naruto created a shadow clone and her eyes shined to the kunai he had given Narumi before they entered T. He Forest of Death. Naruto appeared a few meters from Narumi who was currently on her knees, Orochimaru nearing to cut her in two. No, Naruto thought as he shot forward pushing Narumi out of the way. Narumi looked up at Naruto. You okay, Naru-chan? Naruto asked her. Narumi stared at him wide-eyed. She was lightly trembling now. And no, Naru-kun. She stuttered. Yeah, Naruto asked. You arm? She shouted out as she saw that her lover only had one arm now. Narumi looked up at Naruto. You okay, Naru-chan? Naruto asked her. Narumi stared at him wide-eyed. She was lightly trembling now. And no, Naru-kun. She stuttered. Yeah, Naruto asked. You arm? She shouted out as she saw that her lover only had one arm now. Naruto looked at where his arm once was before he looked back at Narumi and smiled. It's just a scratch. No need to worry, Naru-chan. Naruto said completely calm. Just a scratch. It's missing. She yelled at her male counterpart who was still smiling back at her without faltering in the slightest. It'll be fine, Naru-chan. The blonde demon said to his lover as he placed her down against the side of the tree they were on. Naruto's smile slowly faded as he turned to Orochimaru. Naru-chan, I need you to close your eyes for me. I am about to take a form which I do not wish for you to see. Naruto said with completely seriousness, but Narumi tried to say something but was cut up by Naruto's growing presence. She could feel an ungodly amount of power starting to leak out. Narushan, I beg you to please close your eyes and keep them closed for a complete 10 seconds. Do not open them until that time is up. Naruto said as steam started to rise up from his body. Narumi could see the complete seriousness of the situation and closed her eyes. Seeing that his lover's eyes were closed now, Naruto let his power loose. 1. Out of Naruto's tailbone, even more tails sprouted out, giving him a grand total of 8 tails. His skin rapidly started to pale into a pure white while his hair darkened from the roots out and turned pitch black. In this, Orochimaru couldn't help but take a step back but was frozen in place by the sheer amount of power being leaked from the demon. The sky changed from a light blue to a bloody red and the sun black as night. All across the elemental nations, every living being, both animal and human, civilian and ninja, and everything from genin to cage, felt as if an angry god had just awoken from its slumber and was passing his judgment on some poor fool who had angered it. 2. Naruto's transformation progressed even further as a pulse of power shredded his shirt and coat, leaving his upper body exposed. From the top of his head, 2 white horns started to grow outward from the spiky black hair. 1. His back 10 spike grew out, 5 on the top and 5 on the bottom with the image of the Rinnegan over 9 Tomo arranged in 3 rows of 3. 3. Naruto watched as Orochimaru started to back away from his demonic before vanishing and reappearing in front of Orochimaru in a split second. ND slapped him through several trees. 4. Naruto appeared in front of the downed Orochimaru and proceeded to pick him up by the head and threw him against a large rock. However, before the snake Sannin could collide with the rock, he spat out a fully healed body. 5. Orochimaru started to sink into the ground, but Naruto was able to follow the traitor's movement with his dojutsu. The demon pointed a single finger at where the snake was hiding and formed a small black sphere out of pure chakra. 6. Naruto flicked his hand back and fired an attack at outrageous speeds towards the Sannin who tried to get out of the attack's range, but the small ball followed his movements until it slammed into the ground above him. 7. Orochimaru shot out of the ground before the attack detonated on him and went for the trees. Naruto vanished from sight and appeared a mere meter in front of the snake summoner with his arm extended so the palm of his right hand was mere inches from the snake's face. 8. Positive and negative energy rapidly fused to form a spiraling murky dark purple orb. Orochimaru only had time to widen his eyes before the ball flew across the small gap between his face and the palm. 9. Orochimaru went flying back as the orb forced him through everything in his path until he was about 100 meters from where he originally was. 10. The purple sphere finally exploded, destroying Orochimaru's entire body and anything within about 30 meters, leaving a massive crater in the middle. Narumi opened her eyes after the count of 10. She had felt so much in those 10 seconds that she had her eyes closed. She had felt the wave of power that had spread across the elemental nations and was shaken by it. It felt like pure and absolute power was passing through her entire body. The power itself like one giant paradox. It was both wild, but it was also focused. It was dark and malicious, but at the same time it felt like a warm embrace from a loved one. She looked up to see her lover standing in front of her. Naruto was once again in his normal form, but was still missing his arm. I'm sorry it took so long, Naru-chan, but I managed to finish off the annoying snake. The now blonde again demon said with a cheerful smile. As so, he's dead? The blonde girl asked the Juubi, who frowned at the question. Yes, he's dead, but I don't know how long that will last. I have a feeling that I have only stalled him and he'll be back. Naruto said to his girlfriend. While he had said that it was only a feeling, Naruto knew that the snake Sannin would be back by the Chunin exams finals, just like he had been revived by Kabuto during the war using Anko's curse mark. As long as someone held Orochimaru's curse mark, there was always the chance that the snake would come back. Narumi's eyes widened. Sayuri-chan, we have to help her. The blonde yelled as she rushed to her best friend's location. Naruto sighed and absorbed his arm before he followed after her until they found themselves at the same clearing where he along with Sasuke and Sakura had been ambushed by the sound team back in his world. The two arrived just in time to see Sayuri break Zaku's arms. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the black flame-like markings on Sayuri's skin. Impossible. How did the curse mark activate when I sealed it away with one of my seals? Naruto thought in a panic until it dawned on him. He had been too late and the corrupted chakra had already entered Sayuri's own system and had been able to use the Uchiha's own chakra to erode the seal away. Damn it. I swear that if I ever see that snake again, I'll take his soul and deliver it directly to the Shinigami. Naruto thought in rage as he grabbed Sayuri from behind. Stop. SA-chan. It's over, Naruto said as he pushed his chakra into Sayuri's system to wash away the dark chakra from the sea. The black-haired Kunoichi relaxed into his arm and fell unconscious. Naruto handed Sayuri to Narumi, who brought her back under a tree. What happened to my clone? Naruto asked as he looked around to the injured Team 10 and Team 9. Our idiot of a teammate thought you were trying to kidnap her and attacked. Tenten said with a sigh. Why did she have to be stuck with the most energetic genin in the village? He tried to fight your clone and got the __ beaten out of him, but he managed to land a blow before fainting and PPED it. Naruto sighed and rubbed the bridge of his nose. This is such a pain in the, Naruto said to himself, but everyone was able to hear it. How the hell did all of this go so wrong? I already knew what would happen, but Sayuri still got the curse mark and I lost my arm. I could grow it back now, but it would only lead to more questions from Narumi. I guess I'll have to leave it as it is for now and regrow it when Narumi leaves with Jiraiya to train. Naruto thought before he turned to the sound team. Look now, we will be leaving now. Dosu as he placed the scroll on the ground, but Naruto wouldn't have it. The blonde charged in and pierced the sound shinobi through the chest with his single arm. Looking at Zaku, Naruto lit the other shinobi on fire with his dojutsu. The last of the sound team looked on in horror as she watched her teammates die right in front of her. Naruto turned to her and then there was one. Naruto said in a low, but dangerous tone as he slowly walked over to the kunoichi. Kin fell to her knees and started to cry. Please don't kill me, she begged the blonde demon who was now standing right in front of her. I never wanted to be part of that snake bastard's plan in the first place. He killed my family and everyone in my village before he took me to his hideouts to add me to his forces. She gabbled to the blonde who looked at her with a calculation expression. Naruto could see the truth in her words and made his choice. Very well, you shall be allowed to come with us under the condition that you let yourself be questioned and tell us everything you know about the snake. Naruto said coldly as he talked about the traitor snake. Yes, I'll tell you everything I know, just get me away from that village. Kin cried to Naruto, who smiled lightly and picked her up bridal style and carried her next to Sayuri. Rest for now, Naruto said as he went to check on Team 10 and Rock Lee. Is she all right? Naruto asked as he arrived by Ino's side. She was unconscious and looked very tired, probably from using her family's jutsu so much. Yeah, she was controlling the body of that sound kunoichi when her teammates tried to kill her, even if she was killing their own teammate. Disgusting, Shikamaru said with hatred in his voice as he looked over at what remained of the sound team, not counting Kin. Here, this will help her, Naruto said as he took out a herb from one of his pockets. This herb speeds up cell reproduction and helps fix any and all internal injuries, Naruto said as he took a knee next to his blonde girlfriend. You'll be all right, Ino-chan, Naruto said as he placed a glowing green hand on her forehead to heal her tired mind. Removing his hand, the blonde leaned down and kissed her forehead. Come on, I'll take all of you to the tower, Naruto said as he gathered all his allies around him. Narumi carried Sayuri while Shikamaru carried Ino. The only ones who didn't join in were Team 9. We still don't have our scroll, Neji said as he intent and left with Rock Lee. Naruto sighed at Neji's attitude but focused on getting his team and Team 10 to the tower. He had managed to get a Hiraishin kunai there thanks to one of his clones who had arrived there a bit before. Hiraishin, Naruto muttered, and in an instant group of 7 were at the tower. Both teams opened their scrolls and tossed them forward so that they crossed each other. In 2 plumes of smoke, the senseis of both teams appeared before them. Kazumi-ne-chan, what are you doing here? Narumi asked her sensei, who looked at her and then at Sayuri. The silver-haired woman's eyes narrowed. What happened? She asked. We were attacked by Orochimaru in the forest. I managed to fight him away, but he left his curse seal on Sor-chan and was able to cut off my arm, Naruto said as he wiggled his stub. Kazumi's eyes widened at this. Are the 2 of you all right? She asked the blonde, who smiled back at her. The older kunoichi looked perplexed as she looked at Naruto's smile. She couldn't help but blush at the look on his face. She would be lying if she said that she hadn't developed feelings for the blonde, but after all she had experienced, she couldn't let herself be distracted by a crush. It's just a scratch, Naruto said calmly as he took Sayuri from Narumi's arms and walked away. Looking back at his lover, go get something to eat and some sleep. I'll go seal away this damn curse mark again, Naruto said as he took the Uchiha with him into a private room he had asked the Hokage for. The blonde placed Sayuri on the kind-sized bed and prepared several hand signs. Kishin Fujin, Naruto said as he placed his own version of the Shiki Fujin, except that this one didn't require a sacrifice, but was considerably weaker. The area around the curse seal glowed a dark red, which replaced the 3 tomo on her neck with an image of his Shikifun, but a 10-pointed star in place of the swirl. That should completely suppress it this time. It is my most powerful fuinjutsu right now, Naruto said to himself as he slumped into a nearby chair. Going 8 tails, then using the Kishin Fujin had taken quite the toll on his body. Naruto relaxed his body before he fell asleep. Day of the preliminaries. A lot had happened since Naruto and his team had arrived at the tower in the middle of the Forest of Death. Naruto had a meeting with Hiruzen and Danzo to discuss the events of the forest. The two were less than pleased that the snake had managed to get his mark on Sayuri, and releasing it would release a living copy of Orochimaru. The last thing they needed was two insane pedophiles that hated them running around. They also didn't like that Naruto had lost an arm, but accepted that he sacrificed it to save Narumi. Naruto had lied to them and told them that he would be able to regrow it in a few months. He could have done it there, but he didn't need to be asked any more questions. Narumi was already grilling him about the tails and power spiky. Naruto told them how he would ask the Shinigami to see if there was a way of removing the soul out of the seal so that he could extract the soul and then destroy the seal. He would have tried absorbing the seal, but the possibility of having the snake Sannin in his mind trying to take control of him like Kurama had done all those years ago wasn't number one of things to have. The three leaders of Konoha had also discussed what they were going to do about Ken and Karen. In the end, they had decided that Karen would be given asylum in the Namikaze clan compound while Ken would be questioned, but not harmed physically for any and all information she had on Orochimaru. Unfortunately, since she was a genin, so she didn't have much. Now here they were in the main room of the tower where all the battles would take place. More people had passed this time than in his world. This time Kabuto's team hadn't made it in time and were kicked from the exam. The teams that had passed were Team 7, 8, 9, and 10 from Konoha, Guy's team, and 2 teams from the Cloud, which surprisingly enough was Killer Bee's genin team of Samui, Karui, and Omoi. The next was the team of who he recognized as C, an expert medic from Kumo, Yugito the Nibi Jinchuriki, and another unimportant genin who Naruto hadn't met before. What had surprised Naruto was not only that Yugito was actually younger in this world while everyone else was normally older than in his world, but that she was still a genin and looked about 20. All the teams lined you next to each other as they looked up at the gathered crowd of all the genin sensei and a few others standing next to the Hokage who was smoking his pipe. Congratulations all of you. You have all earned the right to stand here today by proving that you could best Konoha has own forest to ever do. Any of you know why we have the Chunin exams in different villages than your home one? The old man asked. To test our strength against the shinobi and kunoiki of other villages so that we can attract more attention to our home so that we gain more power and jobs. The third member of Yugito's team. Hiruzen nodded. While that is a very important factor in the Chunin exam, that is not the main reason for them. The real reason is to help keep up peace within the villages by showing trust by sending over their shinobi to take part in them. The old man said as he closed his wrinkled eyes. However, he started again as he opened his eyes. Because of the large amount of genin who passed, we will have a preliminary round. Each match will be 2-on-2 except for one which will be a 3-way. Now will everyone except Inako, Inuzuka and Yugito Ni leave the floor and go up to the balcony? Hayate Gecko said as he called out the first battle. Everyone left the lower floor, leaving only the 2 girls who were about to fight. This isn't good. Yugito is older and more experienced than Inako-chan. Plus Yugito has the Nibi in her, so that gives her a massive boost in battle in both chakra and stamina. Naruto thought to himself as he watched the 2 girls who were staring off at the moment. I hope you don't get to hurt Inako-chan. Naruto thought sadly. He wanted her to win, but he had fought Yugito during the war and she had been a pain with her long nails and fire jutsu. Yugito sniffed the air, then pinched her nose. You smell horrible, just like a dog. Yugito taunted her opponent, who growled back at her, showing her more wild side. And you smell like old tuna, cat. Inako said back as she and Akamaru ready to fight the Nibi Jinchuriki. Ready? Hayate asked the 2 who nodded their response. Fight, he said as he jumped out of the way. Yugito was quick to act and charged at Inako with her nails extended. Take this, she said as he tried to cut Inako, but the Inuzuka heiress was able to jump out of the way of the attack. Inako smirked confidently. Is that all you have? Let's go, Akamaru. Gatsuga, she called out as both her and Akamaru started spinning rapidly and charged at Yugito, who jumped out of the way with a backflip. Both Inako and Akamaru stopped their attack before they crashed into the floor. You're too slow, Kaiten Hanaka. Yugito called out as she exhaled a large cloud of ash which took the shape of 10 small cats with glowing red eyes. The 10 ash cats ran towards Inako, who was still smirking confidently. Is that all, Shuga? Inako yelled as she tunneled towards the cats at a fast speed. No, Inako-chan. Turn away. Naruto yelled at his girlfriend who didn't hear him in time and collided with ash cats. Each one of the cats exploded in ash and were drawn into the sugar. Inako's attack went wild before she crashed into the ground screaming in pain as the burning hot ash burned her skin on contact back because of her spin. Her entire body was completely surrounded in the ash. Inako's screams could be heard piercing the ash cloud from within. Naruto acted quickly and jumped into the cloud and quickly absorbed the ash using the Preta path. Thankfully, since Yugito was a Jinchuriki, he could absorb the jutsu without any drawbacks. Everyone's eyes widened when the cloud was completely absorbed into Naruto's body. He can absorb jutsu. Killer Bee and Darui thought in shock that someone possessed such a skill. They knew that they needed to report this to her quickly. Someone with such a power couldn't be let go without them knowing about it. The match is over, Naruto said in a stern voice as he looked down at Inako's unconscious body. Her clothes had been nearly burned off and her skin was covered in bright pink burns from the ash. He was thankful that Yugito was a Jinchuriki since that meant that his chakra had traces of Beiyu chakra which he could absorb. If it weren't for that, he would have had a lot more of a problem since he wasn't completely used to draining non-Beiyu chakra. Hayate nodded as motion for Hayate to end the match. The special Jonin nodded as well. Winner, Yugito Ni of Kumo. Medics, the Konoha native called as two men in medical outfits came out carrying a stretcher. Naruto created a seal-less shadow clone and sent it with the medics to watch over Inako. Naruto walked back up to the upper floor, but as he passed the Kumo teams he stopped for a second. The little cat did well, but she is obviously above Genin level. I mean with her current age and the Nibi she should be at least a Jonin. Wouldn't you say so Hashikan? Naruto said with a small smirk to Killer Bee who now had white eyes hidden behind his goggles. Which one? Bee asked the blonde. None, Naruto said mysteriously as he walked away. He still wanted to keep his role as Jubi a secret, but intimidating others was fun at times. He must have gained that trait after absorbing the Bijuas during the war. But that has nothing to do with my question. I repeat, why is a Jonin level Kunoiki in an exam made for Genin? Naruto asked with narrowed eyes. It was an order from the Sandaime Reikage before his death. Darui said to the blonde who nodded before walking away back to his team. Darui turned to Bee. Did the Hachibi say anything about him? The Reikage's right-hand man asked. Only that he was very powerful. We should be careful. Killer Bee rapped badly causing every Kumo ninja around him to sweat drop. Do you hear that? Omoi his teammates nervously. What if he's really a massive monster made up of all 9 Bijuas fused into one? The blonde Kumo shinobi said as he thought about the absolute worst outcome, which so happened to be correct. Karui drew a tick mark and hit her fellow Kumo shinobi over the head. Idiot. How would that be possible if Yugito Ni has the Nibi and B Sensei had the Hachibi? Karui yelled at her teammate who was rubbing the bump on his head. Samui was looking at Naruto with a slight blush. He's cool, she thought to herself as she looked back up at the electronic board to see who would be battling next. Tenten versus Temari. The two girls walked down to the lower floor and prepared to fight. The fight, however, had been harsh for Tenten since she got the worst opponent for her since all her weapons, which she threw down at Temari, were blown away by the wind user's attacks. No matter what trick she tried to use against the Suna Kunoiki, they all failed. The battle would have ended with a brutal hit to Tenten's spine if it weren't for Guy stepping in time. Well, that was less than entertaining, Naruto said with a large frown as he was forced to re-watch the battle that had happened all those years ago in him home dimension, but he was happy that his time Guy was able to stop. Kazumi nodded slowly. She still didn't know what to think of Naruto yet since he was easily over Genin level if what he had shown back on Genin test and the wave mission proved. She didn't know whether to be cautious of him or feel admiration for the blonde, but she could help but feel a small jump in her heartbeat when he looked at her in the eyes. It was as if he understood her pain. Her pain of losing so many close to you, yet he was able to show his face to the world while she kept it hidden since the death of her father at his own hands. By order of the Hokage, the next battle, will be between Naruto Namikaze of Konoha and C of Kumo as well as Akahiko of Kumo in a 2-on-1 battle, Hayate announced, much to the surprise of everyone there since they didn't that the Hokage would make his own shinobi fight against 2 others from a different village. Well, everyone but Naruto who was excited about being able to fight. Naruto smirked at this. Of course, the old man would make him have a 2-on-1 battle, but he was the goddamn Jubi and there was no way he was going to lose to two genin. Good, Naruto said as he jumped over the rail and landed on the lower floor. Who do you think will win? Yugito asked her fellow Kumo shinobi who watched as her two teammates walked down to the battle floor. Is that a rhetorical question? Karui asked with a raised eyebrow as she looked at her friend. Of course, C and Akahiko are going to win the battle. For one thing, it's 2-on-1 and 2, we're Kumo shinobi and if what we saw from your battle, they aren't that strong. Karui said arrogantly, getting glares from every Konoha ninja for insulting them. The Konoha kid will win. You can see it in his grin. Killer B rapped his thoughts to his students. I agree with B sensei. I believe that he will win this battle. Samui said coldly as she looked at the lower floor where all three fighters were getting ready to battle. What? How can you say that, Samui? Where is your pride? Karui yelled at the busty kunoiki who looked at her from the corner of her eyes. I am simply stating what I believe will happen. You're reacting with so cool. Samui said coldly as the proctor stepped forward. Naruto vc and Akahiko, ready? Hayate asked to the two sides who nodded. Fight, he said as he jumped back. For a while, no one made a single movement as the two sides studied each other. This moment was broken by Naruto who smirked and slammed his palm on the ground causing a large plume of smoke to erupt outward. Jakaru Hanto. Naruto yelled from within the smoke cloud as 4 black and gold blurs shot out from the cloud. 2 went for each Kumo shinobi who tensed as they motioned to dodge, but were unable to do so before 2 jackals bit down on each other's shoulders. Ah! Both screamed in pain as the sharp teeth of the canines dug deep into their flesh. Naruto smirked lightly as he vanished in a blur of speed with each passing second. Several new cuts appeared on either C or Akihiko before Naruto reappeared in front of them. The 4 jackals vanished in plumes of smoke as Naruto turned back to the 2 genin. Is that all you have? Naruto asked in a bored tone which enraged Akihiko and made C stand on edge. Both their bodies were losing blood fast and the cuts and teeth wounds were burning like no tomorrow. Die, Konoha scum! Akihiko screamed out in outrage as he preformed hand signs at a speed which the other Konoha genin except Naruto and his team could keep track of. Raiden False Darkness. He yelled out his jutsu before firing a spear of lightning shot out towards Naruto who vanished and reappeared behind him with his hand on Akihiko's head. Naruto could feel all the sins the genin had preformed from the beginning of his career. He could forgive killing to protect your village, but this boy had killed people just because they refused to serve him a free meal. He had raped young girls all over Kaminari no Kuni and a few other countries while on missions. He had robbed from people who had done nothing wrong. He was utterly despicable. I believe it is you who shall die, Naruto said in a dark tone. This was the kind of person who held the world back from peace and would make sure that he would never do anything to bring darkness to the world. Human path, Naruto said silently as he ripped out Akihiko's soul. Now, while normally he would absorb the soul and learn everything that the boy had learned over the years, he didn't want the memories of all the crimes the Kumo ninja had committed to be imprinted onto his mind, so he did the next best thing and destroyed the soul into small blue glowing particles that faded into nothingness. Everyone stood silent as Akihiko's body slumped lifelessly forward onto the floor. None could believe what the blonde had just done. They all looked down at Naruto with a hint of fear with the exception of Team and who had seen him do it before. Kitten, you have to make sure that you never anger this man. I was unsure of it before, but I know now that he just used the power of one of the 6 paths. The Nibi warned to her container about how dangerous Naruto was. Then Yugito started to hear perverted giggles in her head, but it would never hurt trying to nab him for yourself. That's it, kitten. From now on your mission is to get into his pants and give me a litter of kittens. The two-tailed Bayu proclaimed from within Yugito, causing her to blush. Nibi, I don't even know the guy and he just killed off one of my teammates. Why would I even think about going out with him? Yugito screamed back mentally at her tenant who just giggled as she cut off the connection. Stupid perverted cat. Yugito sighed mentally. While this was going on, B and the Hachibi were having their own conversation. B, I suggest that you try to befriend that blonde and gain him as an ally. What he used was called the human path. It is one of the 6 paths that the Rikudu Sennin could use, and when there is one path, the other 5 are sure to be as well. This body may very well be the reincarnation of the sage for all we know. I also sense the power of the Bayu within him, but it feels like all 9 mixed into one with some additional foreign chakra mixed in. I fear this boy man may be the next Juubi no Kishi. The 8 Tails warned his container. For once B was lost for word. He had just been told that this genin could be the next sage of 6 paths as well as the next 10 tails. This was way too much to even comprehend at the moment. He would have to tell his brother this in secret. Gaara on the other hand was holding her head as Shukaku jumped around in her head screaming about how her father had returned to it at last and how she should take his blood for it. Father's back. Father's back. Father has finally come back and mother wants his blood, Gaia. I want his blood for me so that I will never be without him again. Do it now. The Ichibi screamed psychotically out to its container who was trying to hold back the wave of bloodlust that the Bayu was giving off. Eventually, the pressure stopped as Shukaku got tired and retreated back into the depths of her mind. What did mother mean when she called this man father? Gaia thought to herself as she held her head in pain, which got her worried looks from her team. Back at the battle, C had quickly used a healing jutsu to fix himself back into battling condition and threw a dozen shuriken at Naruto. The blonde Jubi didn't even bother dodging and used his Asura path to harden his skin into metal. To everyone, it seemed as if C had finally gotten a hit on Naruto, but Kazumi had heard about his battle with Haku and how her senbon bounced off of his armored skin, so she wasn't too worried. Her prediction came true when the shuriken fell onto the ground without a speck of blood on them. The blonde-haired Kumo shinobi smirked and pulled out a kunai with an explosive tag attached and threw it at the one-armed demon. Naruto smirked as he blurred out of existence and reappeared high over C. It's over, C. I win. Jinten's sonic downfall. Naruto shouted as he became a blur as he shot down at C and he heel dropped his head into the ground, but Naruto restrained himself as to not, or kill C since unlike the other Kumo shinobi, he hadn't committed any crimes against humanity. The attack kicked up a ton of dust which formed into a brownish-colored cloud around the 2 remaining fighters. Everyone waited with bated breath as the dust cloud started to thin out to the point where they could see the silhouette of a male standing over another male. It was clear to everyone that Naruto had won the match hands down. He had been able to kill one of his opponents by removing the soul and then followed by knocking out C. The next match will be, the proctor said as he looked up at the board. Ino Yamanaka vs Karui of Kumo, he had said before he started to cough once again. Naruto really felt bad for him, but he wasn't a medical professional and didn't have enough control over his power to be sure that his energy wouldn't hurt or kill him. He never did learn how he died. The 2 kunoiki walked down the steps and met it on the ground. Karui gripped the handle of her sword as she got ready to fight the other genin. Both kunoiki stared at each other as if studying everything they could from the other. Hayat looked at the 2 before raising his hands. Fight, he yelled as he jumped back as to not get caught in the middle. Karui made the first move and charged at Ino with her sword now completely drawn. Back in the academy, Ino would have been screwed right now because she had never trained and just focused on her looks, but Naruto had told her that he would only go out with her if she actually trained and became a real kunoiki. From that day on she had been training with Naruto every other weekend and with her team during the week. Ino ducked under the slash and preformed a quick genjutsu, making her invisible to anyone without a dojutsu. Karui looked all around for Ino but was completely unable to find her. However, her trained kunoiki instincts told her to jump out of the way. Lucky for Karui, she was right as Ino appeared over the spot she was just in and smashed her fist into the ground, leaving a decent-sized crater for a genin. Sarutobi couldn't help but look at Naruto, who was smirking at Ino's display of strength. So you taught her Tsunade-chan's strength-enhancing technique him, Sarutobi thought to himself as he looked down at fight which was getting intense now. Karui kept up her assault on Ino, who used her natural flexibility to dodge every single attack that Karui was launching, no matter how good Karui was with the sword. Stand still, Karui said through gritted teeth. The blonde just wouldn't stand still long enough for Hirto hit her. Why would I do that? I have a love life unlike you, flat chest, and I'm sure my new boyfriend wouldn't like it if I was all scared up. Ino said with large smirk as she saw Karui get angrier with each failed swing, and the flat chest comment and bringing up the fact that she was single only helped to make her even more enraged. Shut up. The feisty redhead yelled as she charged lightning chakra through her sword. Ino smirked at how angry Karui had gotten from her teasing. Sorry, flat chest, but I think it's about time to end this. Ino said as she jumped back and preformed the hand signs for her family's trademark technique. Shintenshin no Jutsu, she said as his body fell limp on the ground. Karui froze in place as she felt Ino's mind taking over her very body. She tried with all her might to fight back Ino's consciousness as shown by her gritting teeth, but in the end she lost control to Ino. Proctor, Karui said as she turned to Hayat while holding a kunai to her throat. Quote. I Karui give up. The redhead said. Winner, Ino Yamanaka. Hayat said out to the crowd who clapped at the performance. Ino released the jutsu and went back into her own body. Karu's eyes widened as she looked around. Seeing Ino on the ground, she thought this was her chance, but was stopped by B before she could do anything. Karui-chan, stop your assault. It's pointless since you already lost. B said in rap to his genin. What? How? Karui asked frantically. Killer B then had to go on and explain the end of the battle to her as they walked back to where the other Kumo ninja stood while Ino walked back to her team. Damn it, she said as tears streaked down her cheeks. She had come so far in these damn exams only to forfeit against her will. You know you shouldn't cry over spilled milk, right? Naruto said as he walked over to the group. Unknown to the genin other than Naruto, Killer B tensed when the blonde had walked over to his group once again. Any being who could make the Hachibi feel uneasy also make him uneasy. The only ones who had done that before were the third Reikage who he respected, his brother A when he had cut of one of his horns, the Kyubi no Kitsune, Hashirama Senju, and now this boy. Karui glared at him. What are you here to brag about how one of your village's ninja defeated another one of ours? She yelled at the blonde demon who raised his hands up in defense. Naruto shook his head. No, I just came here to tell you that you did good out there. Naruto said honestly to her. Seeing that he wasn't going to make fun of her, she lessened her glare but still had a lesser one on. I must say that you must be quite skilled in Raiden manipulation to be able to use it in conjunction with a blade. But I have to ask, what effect were you going for, because from what I saw you were using it in a way which would paralyze your opponent, but I believe you were looking more for effect WH. It would boost your piercing power and speed, right? Naruto continued. Karui raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I was going for extra speed. How did you know? Karui asked the blonde who smiled kindly back at the dark-skinned girl which blushed a bit. I trained a bit with Raiden a bit, and from a few experiments I figured out that the way you conduct the electricity through your sword affects the result you get. For example, if you let your electricity run wild within the blade of your sword, you'll get a electrocution effect, while if you keep it controlled and spread evenly throughout the entire sword, you'll get more of paralyze effect, which is what you were getting. Furthermore, if you concentrate your lightning going up your blade and towards the tip, will increase your piercing effect, and lastly, if you concentrate the lightning on the sharp edge of the blade, it will increase the speed which the sword can cut through air and will give it a better ability to cut through armor and flesh. Naruto explained to the group of genin the theory behind using lightning chakra in their swords. The jaws of the three dropped when they heard everything Naruto had to say. Even Killer B was a little surprised with all that the blonde knew. The next match will be between Shino Aburame and Shikamaru Nara. The proctor said, I give up. There is no point in me fighting since I am unable to put all of Shino's bugs under my Kijimane no Jutsu, and even if I got Shino under my control, his bugs would still be active and would swarm me the second I catch Shino. Shikamaru said with his eyes closed as he leaned back against the wall of the building. Hayat nodded at the reasoning. Winner Shino Aburame. Next match will be between Sayuri Uchiha and Kankuro of Suna. The proctor called out. Sayuri jumped over the rails while Kankuro did the same from where he was standing. Fight! Hayat yelled as to begin the battle between the Konoha and Suna ninja. Sayuri started the battle by preforming a series of hand signs before Kaiten Grand Fireball Jutsu. She yelled as she exhaled a large fireball from her mouth which went searing towards the Suna shinobi who jumped out of the way. Sayuri didn't give Kankuro a chance to counter against her. She pulled out 6 kunai and threw them at the puppet user. Kankuro, seeing the weapons coming at him, pulled out his own kunai and used it to block the 6 projectiles before he threw it at Sayuri. The female Uchiha backflipped backwards as to avoid the kunai. Kaiten Phoenix Flower Jutsu, she said before she exhaled a barrage of small fireballs at Kankuro. The sooner Genin saw this coming and substituted himself with a log which came out of nowhere. Sayuri ducked as several senbon flew over her head. From the purple drops coming of the needles after they hit the wall, she assumed that they were poisoned. Seeing that Kankuro was behind her, she turned and charged at him. Once she was close enough, she landed a powerful punch to Kankuro's stomach, only for 2 sets of arms wrapping her. Before Kankuro could do anything, she substituted herself with a log before several blades coming out of Kankuro's chest ripped right through the log. So, Kankuro used the old puppet trick. Good thing Sayuri managed to escape in time. Naruto thought to himself as he watched the battle. He was really impressed with how Sayuri was handling the battle so far, but that was without Kankuro using his puppets. Let's see how he'll handle him now that he has his puppets out. Sayuri was already stronger than Sasuke was back when he was in Konoha. The bundle on the back of the puppets unraveled to reveal Kankuro. Well, I thought that last trick I set up was going to beat you, but since you were able to escape it, I guess I'll have to do it. Kankuro said as he smirked as he held Crow in front of him with his chakra strings. Let's see you try, Sayuri said as she activated her Sharingan before she charged in at Kankuro, who sent Crow at her. Crow's hands turned into 4 large knives which Kankuro used to try and impale the Uchiha who jump head to the side and then lashed out with a kick to the side of Crow's head. Crow went flying, but Kankuro stabilized it in midair and brought it towards himself just in time to block another physical attack from Sayuri. Before the black-haired girl was able to pull away, Crow managed to hit her with about a dozen poison senbon. Sayuri fell to her knee as she felt the poison starting to circulate throughout her body. Give up now and I'll give you the antidote, Kankuro said with a wide smirk as he saw her struggling to breath with the poison spreading throughout her body. I will end not give up. I have to become as strong as so I can beat him. Sayuri panted out as she stood back up and glared at the sand shinobi. She could feel the dark power of the curse mark trying to enter her chakra stream, but the seal that Naruto had put on her was blocking it. Come on, just use my power, a dark voice yelled in her head, shouted at her. The voice sounded exactly like hers, only it had a vengeful and dark undertone. You know you want my power. It's the only way you can win. The voice continued to push her to use the power of the curse mark and break the seal that Naruto had put on her. No, Naru-kun said to never use the power of the curse mark. Sayuri yelled back at the evil voice within her head, who laughed back at her like she had just said the funniest thing ever. That hypocrite told you not to use my power. Please, his chakra almost identical to my own, only far more potent. He isn't even human from what I can tell from his chakra. On top of that, his chakra is far more malicious than anything I could ever create. He is just scared of what you could become. He fears you because he knows you can become someone who can kill him. Dark Sayuri said to her host. Sayuri felt herself fade from the real world and appeared on a plain with black grass and a blood-red sky with a red moon overhead. Where am I? Sayuri asked as she looked around the plain. There was absolutely nothing but black grass and the red sky. This is your mind, Sayuri-chan. Dark Sayuri said as she phased into existence in front of Sayuri. She looked exactly like herself, only that she had paler skin than she did and had yellow snake-like eyes. She wore a black robe that wrapped around her figure. Around her neck was a choker with the Kishin Fujin on it. Come on, take this collar off of me and I'll give you the power you need to beat Itachi. Dark Sayuri said to the Uchiha, who looked at the seal with interest. Is it worth it? Is power worth betraying Naru-kun's trust? She thought to herself as she took a step towards Dark Sayuri. He's holding you back, Sayuri-chan. He's trying to weaken you so that you never betray the village. He wants you to be weak. Release this seal and I'll give you everything you've ever wanted. I'll give you the power you need to revenge your clan and bring it into a new age of power. She continued to tempt as Sayuri slowly walked toward her before she gripped the collar. Sayuri's eyes had a thick haze to show how influenced she was. Do it, Dark Sayuri said with a wide grin as she felt Sayuri tugging on the collar. However, before Sayuri could completely rip the seal off, a massive claw smacked Dark Sayuri away. Sayuri's eyes snapped wide open as the haze that had overtaken her. Sayuri looked up to see a massive monster with 10 gigantic tails. The monster was almost completely black, with the only exception being the one massive eye and its long tongue. It had a human-like torso covered in black scales. It had several spikes coming out of its back and head. What the hell are you? Sayuri shouted as she took a few steps back away from the massive monster. Dark Sayuri's laugh echoed from where she was sent flying towards. The dark version of Sayuri appeared in front of Sayuri. Oh. You don't know. That's your dear lover Naruto's true form. Sayuri's eyes widened when she heard this as she looked up at the monster. No way. There's no way that Naruto could be that thing. She thought to herself in fear. Was Naruto really lying to them all and was a monster in form of a human? And Naru-kun, Sayuri said with a stutter. The massive beast turned to her with a depressed expression. Sakan, I'm sorry that I hid this from you and Naru-chan. I didn't know how the two of you would react. The massive monster said in a booming voice that made the entire world rumble. Sayuri could hear the sincerity in the monster's voice and knew that the monster was actually Naruto like her clone. Had said, so that's really you, Naru-kun? Sayuri asked as the massive beast lowered its head so that it was face to face with Sayuri, who was looking into his massive single eye, who was filled with sadness and anguish. Yes, a long time ago I had to seal away the beast called the Jubi within myself, but doing this turned me into this. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Nadaime Jubi no Kishin. The Jubified Naruto said to Sayuri, who was deep in thought. I'll explain more to both you and Naru-chan back after the preliminaries. Naruto said before he turned to Dark Sayuri, who was smirking at her victory in proving that Naruto was a monster. What are you looking at, monster? She said with a bit of humor filling her voice. Naruto narrowed his eye. My seal may not have completely sealed you away because of how tired I was, but that doesn't mean I can't suppress you even further now that inside Sayuri's mind. Dark Sayuri's eyes widened as Naruto picked her up with one of his massive clawed hands. Suffer in the Tsukiyomi, Naruto said as the 9 tomo in his eyes spun wildly around the 3 inner circles. Dark Sayuri faded as she was sent deeper into Sayuri's subconscious, where she would be stuck in the Tsukiyomi until it wore off, and since Naruto was at full power inside of Sayuri's mind, it would be a long time before she would awaken from the nightmare Naruto was going to put her through. Looking back at Sayuri, Naruto frowned. I've suppressed her completely now. She will no longer try and influence you anymore for a few months at most. Please don't hate me for what I am, Naruto said before his eye started to spin once again as he sent Sayuri and himself out of the mindscape. Real world. Sayuri took in a deep breath as her consciousness re-entered the real world. She hesitated for a second, giving Conqueror to send his puppet at her. Sayuri jumped out of the way. Her body was still burning from the poison flowing through her bloodstream. Looking up at Naruto from the corner of her eye, I don't hate you, Naruto. She thought before she decided to finish the battle using a shunshin, which surprised many jonin. She appeared in front of Kankuro and landed a strong kick, sending the sand shinobi up into the air. Jumping over Kankuro, Sayuri landed a massive kick, sending the shinobi smashing down into the ground. Seeing that Kankuro wasn't going to get back up, the proctor called the matchmaking Sayuri the winner before Sayuri fell back because of the poison in her bloodstream. 4 medics came in and took the 2 to the hospital in the tower. Naruto secretly made a shadow clone and sent it after Sayuri under the form of a small mouse. Next up was Narumi and Neji, which Naruto thought would be a good battle even if he was sure that Narumi would win, but a good battle nonetheless. The 2 fighters jumped down to the ground and waited for Hayate to start the battle between the 2. Neji had already activated his Byakugan and was in his gentle fist stance. As the fight started, Neji charged at Narumi, who started to preform a long series of hand signs. Futon Great Break. Rough, Narumi said as she exhaled a large gust of wind at the Hyuga, who jumped out of the way just in time to dodge the attack. Neji charged forward again and attempted to block Narumi's chakra points. Just as he was about to strike her, she substituted herself with a chunk for the wall that had broken off during the other fights. Neji, using Byakugan, knew where she was the second she reappeared. Neji shot at the blonde kunoichi. Narumi wasn't able to dodge in time and got hit on the side of her left arm. Narumi jumped away as to not get another point blocked. Neji smirked when he saw the Uzumaki grab her arm in pain. Does it hurt, girl? You can't fight against fate, and your fate is to lose by my hands. Neji said as he came at Narumi, who used some of the Kyuubi's chakra inside of her to reopen her chakra point before dodging the Hyuga's attack. In the stands, Hinata was glaring down at Neji. Neji, I swear if you hurt her I will rip off your balls and shove them down your throat. The Hyuga heiress thought to herself as she watched the battle. She then glared at Naruto, who was watching the battle calmly without any sign of emotion showing. Rough. And I will get my Naru-chan back from you, bastard. She thought as she glared at the man who took the heart of the one she loved. Naruto could sense the Hyuga's glare on him. It really was a shock how different this Hinata was compared to his world's Hinata. This one was a Tsunade like he had never seen before. She was cold and harsh to everyone minus his female counterpart who she was in love with. It seems that Kami loves to with me, Naruto thought as he looked over at the blue-haired girl. His eyes turned to Madara's Sharingan for a split second before he went back to watching the battle. Narumi used the shadow clone jutsu to create 25 copies of herself. The 25 copies charged at the Hyuga, who tensed and waited for all of them to get close to him. Once they all were within range, the pale-eyed teenager started to spin rapidly. 8 trigrams palm rotation, Neji said as he was engulfed in a large blue dome of chakra. All the clones were blasted back and dispersed from the blow. Narumi charged up a Rasengan and charged at the Hyuga, who had just finished rotating. Rasengan, she yelled as she approached the brown-haired teen. However, the Hyuga's reflexes kicked in and he managed to dodge the attack mostly, but the band holding his ponytail was shredded, letting his hair loose. Before Narumi could do anything, Neji was already in his stance. Fate has brought both of us to this moment, Namikaze-san. You are in my field of division. 8 trigrams 64 palms. Neji announced, much to the surprise of Hinata, who knew that the 64 palms was only taught in the main branch. 2 palms, Neji said as he delivered the first 2 strikes. 4 palms. 2 more hits. 8 palms. 4 more strikes were delivered. 16 palms, Neji said as he delivered another set of 8 strikes to Narumi's body. 32 palm. 64 palm, Neji said as he struck Narumi another 32 times before finishing with a 2-handed thrust which sent Narumi flying against the wall of the building. Hinata was visually furious at what her cousin had done to the girl she loved. Neji relaxed a bit as he started to walk back towards the stairs. She's already down, might as well call the match because she isn't getting back up. Neji said with a smug look. I'm not done yet, Narumi said as she stood back up with a red aura surrounding her. Her canines elongated and her nails became sharper as her eyes turned red with slits for pupils. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw this. He didn't expect his lover to have to pull out the Kyuubi this early on in the exams, but he could see why. Neji was also stronger now than he was in his world. He already had the rotation and 64 palms this early. Well, this match is over, Naruto thought as he let out a sigh. Before Neji could react, he was punched in the jaw by the enraged blonde. Fate doesn't decide what happened in my life. I decide what happens, Narumi yelled as she charged at the down Hyuga, who was getting back up from the powerful punch. He had a small trail of blood coming from his mouth. Neji was able to stand back up on his feet and readied himself for Narumi's attack. As the blonde got close enough to the pale-eyed teen, started to rotate rapidly once more. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki saw what was going to happen and tried to stop, but she was too late and her momentum carried her into T. He sighed of the dome which blasted her back. Narumi stood back once more with her clothes shredded, but still able to hide her modesty from everyone. I'm not done yet, she said as a small trail of blood dripped down the middle of her face. Her entire body screamed in pain as she formed another Rasengan, but unlike the last, this one was much bigger and had a red tint to it. Odama Rasengan, she yelled as she charged once again at the Hyuga. Neji scowled when he saw her charging back at him. You don't learn, do you? Fate has decided me the winner. Rotation, the Hyuga yelled as the Namikaze pushed her giant Rasengan at him. The two techniques clashed with each other in a huge show of power. The sound of the two spiraling attack grinding together echoed across the room. All the genin had to hold their ears to protect them from the piercing sound. The clash ended in an explosion of smoke. Everyone waited with bated breath as they watched the smoke slowly clear away from the scene. The first thing they saw was the shadow of a person with long hair, which at this point was distinguishable from the two fighters. As more of the dust cloud cleared, it revealed the two mounds of the standing figure's chest. The smoke completely cleared to show Narumi in rags standing over a defeated Neji whose outfit was also in rags. Winner Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze, Hayate announced to everyone who cheered for the blonde. Seeing that his lover was going to faint, Naruto appeared beside her and caught her before she hit the floor. You did well, Narushan, now rest, Naruto said as he looked over at the Sandaime, who nodded. The blonde quickly blurred out of existence with his female counterpart and made his way to the hospital within the tower to drop off Narumi and to check how Inako and Sayuri were doing, but not before making a clone to watch the rest of the battles for him. Arriving at the large room, Naruto made his way to the empty bed beside Sayuri, who was also asleep. Naruto did a quick diagnostic jutsu on the two girls to check if there was anything wrong with them before going to check on Inako. Much to his surprise, the Inuzuka heiress was awake already, even though she had some nasty burns. Hey Naruto-kun, his girlfriend said weakly to him. Hey Ino-chan, save your strength, you're still hurt, Naruto said as he performed a healing jutsu to heal some of the burns that the medical ninja couldn't heal themselves. Inako couldn't help but let out a small moan at the feeling that spread over her entire body as Naruto used some nature chakra to heal her. Naruto frowned when he saw that he couldn't heal all her burns, which he would have to leave to heal naturally. He wasn't used to healing others, and while his chakra would heal others better than other standard medics, he still wasn't able to heal anyone on the same level which his world soccer T. Tsunade could. Sorry Ino-chan, I can't heal you anymore, Naruto said in a depressed tone. His mood was lifted when he saw the brunette smile kindly at him. It warmed his heart knowing that the girl loved him as much as he did her. It's fine Naruto-kun, I feel much better than before now since you healed the worst of the burns, the dog girl said to the blonde, who smiled kindly. But can you please tell me what happened to your left arm? She asked with a tone so sweet that it promised to cause him pain if he dared to lie. Naruto sighed and started to explain what had happened during the Forest of Death and the events involving Orochimaru, and even went as far as to tell her about him being the Jubi, which she weighed better than he had expected her to. He planned on telling everyone who he felt he could trust, which included Narumi, Sayuri, Ino, Hiruzen, Jiraiya and Danzo. 3 of those were his girlfriends, while the other 3 were the village leaders. So you don't think I'm a monster? Naruto asked the brunette, who nodded. Naruto-kun, centuries ago one of my ancestors made it with a dog demon which started our clan. How could I hate you for being what you were when my own clan stemmed off a demon? Besides, even if you are a Beiyu, you're also a great guy and the man I love, Inako said with no small amount of affection. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before he smiled endearingly at her. I love you too, Inukan, Naruto said as he leaned down for a quick kiss. Inako looked a bit embarrassed, but finally worked up the courage to say what she wanted to say. And Naruto-kun, can I ask you a something? She asked the blonde, who smiled back at her. But you just did, Naruto said with a teasing grin. Yeah, ask away. After I get better, could you please take mi? She started but said the last part in a whisper which Naruto couldn't hear even with his super hearing. He could only hear the first sound of the word, which was a beer. Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you, Naruto said as he raised an eyebrow. I asked if why you could take mi versus virginity, she said in a hushed tone which Naruto had to strain his ears to hear. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard this. Sure, he had taken both Sayuri's and Narumi's virginity, but he had spent far more time with them than Inako since they were on the same team, but he thought that she might want to wait a while. Sure, Naruto said with a small smile. I would be honored to be the one to be with you, Naruto said before he heard Inako yawn a bit. You're still tired and injured. Get some more sleep, Naruto said as he placed a small genjutsu to get her to rest some more. Walking over to his other 2 girlfriends, he started to heal them as best he could, which wasn't enough to get them out of the hospital until a few days later, maybe a day for Narumi. Now all he had to do was wait until they woke up so that he could talk to them about his status as Jubi. Later, Naruto stood next to the other winners of the preliminaries as they waited for the proctors. The people there were Naruto, Hinata, Samui, Gaara, Temari, Shino, Ino, and Yugito. Sayuri and Narumi were still in the tower hospital, so they couldn't be there in person, but were put together in the final match for the first round. He had thought about what had happened since Orochimaru's attack in the forest and what had happened in the preliminaries. Everyone was stronger now than in his world, even if it was only by a small margin, and that not all events went the same as he had once thought. On top of that, he being in this world was also bound to alter the series of events that would have happened. He was the one who saved Haku and Zabuza and was the one who got Danzo on his side. He also underestimated the curse mark on Sayuri and how strong it truly was. He was not going to screw up this invasion. I will have to tell them the truth. Naruto thought to himself. All right, each of you will draw a number to decide who you will fight during the final round. Hayate said as he moved from Naruto, who was on the left, to the right, ending with Gaara. 3. Naruto said. I. Hinata announced. 2. Samui said in her normal cold tone. 4. Gaara said. 7. Temari got. 8. Ino said out loud. 5. Shino said quietly. 6. Yugito said as she held up her number. The Hokage nodded at the matches. This worked out well for them, because if Naruto could knock out Gaara before she transformed, then he and Danzo wouldn't have to take on Orochimaru by themselves, since while still powerful they were old as dirt in the shinobi world, with the only one older than Mb. Ing Onoki the Shichikage. So, the matches will be Hinata Hyuga vs Samui of Kumo first, followed by Naruto Namikaze vs Gaara of Sun. Then Shino Aburame vs Yugito Ni. Following them will be Ino Yamanaka vs Temari of Suna. And lastly, it will be Sayuri Uchiha vs Narumi Uzumaki Namikaze. You all have a month to improve your skills, since most of you have shown some of your abilities already today. Now, go and rest. Hiruzen said as they all left, with the exception of Naruto, who watched everyone else leave the two Shinobi. Gigi, I have something important to tell both you and the others back at the tower. I believe that with the events to come I may have to unveil the truth about myself. Naruto said as he showed the old man the stub he had in place of his arm before it started to regrow at a rapid pace, much to his surprise of the cage, until it was a new arm. It was one of the most awe-inspiring yet disgusting things the old man had ever seen, and trust him when he said he had seen some really disgusting things before, like Orochimaru's original experiments. Naruto-kun, what did you just do? The old man asked as he examined Naruto's new arm. It is one of my powers that I will tell you guys about. After thinking it over after Sayuri's battle, I realized that Orochimaru in this world might do something different from the one in my own. So, I believe it's best if I told you guys the truth about who and what I am now, rather than in the middle of battle. I've already told Narumi, Sayuri, and Inako, and they accepted and thanked Kami. Naruto said as he put his coat back on, but let out a sigh when he thought about how well the two girls had handled it. Like Inako, they both said that it didn't matter what he was, only who he was, and he was the man they loved. The old man nodded before the two left the tower in the Forest of Death and started their way to the secret meeting room in the Hokage's tower. Hokage's meeting room. In the dark room, lit only by a few candles, 5 men sat in a circular table with a map of Konoha printed on it. The 5 were Jiraiya the Sannin, Danzo Shimura the leader of Root Anbu, the current Anbu commander, Hiruzen Sarutobi the Sandaime Hokage, and Naruto Uzumaki Namika. Zei the second Jinchuriki and current Namikaze clan head. Naruto had just finished explaining just what he was and what he could do because of what he was. Saying that the 4 were shocked was an understatement. They all were dumbfounded when Naruto told them that he was really the equivalent of all the Bijuas combined into a single body. While they were a little wary that the blonde could destroy everyone in the village single-handed, but knew what the blonde hadn't done anything that had hurt the villager so far, and reassured them that he would help them as long as they didn't turn on him. So, the plan is still going as planned? The Anbu captain asked the others, who nodded. Then, I will be off to start preparing my men for the battle to come next month. The Anbu said as he left the room through Shunshin. Naruto turned to Jiraiya. Jiraiya-san, I need you to train Narumi during the month. While she is good, she is nowhere near the level needed to take on Gaara or Temari. Naruto said to the white-haired sage, who nodded. The Jinchuriki was good, but she wasn't even close to the level of the Akatsuki members or Orochimaru. Will do, Naruto-kun. Jiraiya said with large smirk as he started to plan about what he should teach his student's daughter. I'll teach her some new jutsu and some physical stuff. The white-haired man said. Naruto nodded, but then glared at the pervert. But, if I find out that you wasted her time peeking on girls, I'll beat the perverseness out of you. Naruto threatened the sage, who nodded. One did not anger the strongest being in the world. It was a stupid idea to do so. What will you be doing during the month? Danzo asked the blonde Bayu who looked at the bandaged man. I will be with my girls for the first week and then out of the village for the last 2 weeks for some special training that I can't do inside the village. Naruto answered the cage's question. The four continued to finalize the plans for the defense and counterattack for the battle that would come. 1 week later, Naruto was walking side by side with Inako as they walked towards her house in the Inazuka compound. She had been cleared to leave the hospital today and was finally cashing in Naruto's promise to take her virginity. Naruto laid on Inako's bed stark as he watched his girlfriend strip right in front of him. Inako was now only in a tan thong and bra which was barely large enough to hold her large C-cups. Inako turned back to Naruto with a seductive grin which grew larger when she saw little Naruto standing at attention. Oh. Does my Naruto boy like what he sees? She said as she crawled over him showing him a heavenly amount of cleavage. Her thin panties were soaked already and the two hadn't even started. I don't want any foreplay, so let's get to the real deal. She said before ripping off the tiny bit of fabric to reveal her dripping, not even giving Naruto a chance to say anything, she slammed down her hips. Inako let out a loud howl when she felt Naruto's prick pierced her hymen. A bit of blood dripped out from her lower folds, but Inako didn't care about the pain, but rather the mind-numbing pleasure that was coursing through her entire body. She finally felt complete now that she had found her mate. Are you okay, Inako? Naruto asked when he saw tears starting to form in her eyes. Inako smiled down at him as she wiped away the tears. Yes, I am, Naruto boy. It's just that I'm so happy that I finally found my mate. Inako said, smiling kindly at the blonde under her. In our family, once a male has with a woman with the exception of rape, it is the same as marriage. This marriage can only be broken if one of the two dies or one betrays the clan like my father did. She said as he joy faltered when she remembered how crushed her mother was after her father left them. Naruto saw the Inako smile fall a bit when she talked about her father. Don't worry, Inako-chan, I'll never leave you. Naruto said as he placed his hands on her hips while the dog girl lifted her hips. Are you ready? Naruto asked the girl who smirked. Naruto guided her hips as she slammed down on him. The sound of flesh slapping against flesh echoed across the room. The moans of pleasure filled the room as they too, animals, went at it like dogs in heat. It wasn't long before Inako's moans turned into howls of pleasures. Her eyes were wide and glazed over from the intense feeling within her. Heat tongue hung out of her gaping mouth giving her a stupid look. Looking down at Naruto, she leaned forward and captured his lips in a sloppy kiss that showed how little control she had left over her body. All she could think about right now was pleasing herself and her lover. Naruto grunted as she sped up her movements. Not wanting to be outdone, he used his genton to increase his own thrusts. Harder, Naruto, me faster. She cried out as her bounced within their restraint. Naruto smirked as he reached up and ripped the bra right off her body. Naruto grabbed her left with his right hand while he brought the right one into his mouth. The Inazuka let out another howl as Naruto started to suck on her light pink. With his hand, Naruto gave the a massage that sent Inako even deeper into the madness known as pleasure. Yes, twist my. Inako screamed out as Naruto pinched and pulled on her. Inako had a massive orgasm, finally letting out all the tension taut had been building up in her. Inako's mind was already turning to mush as the two went at it. Naruto knew his limit was coming as his thrusts now increased in speed and power. With a loud grunt, Naruto shot his load of baby batter into the girl's womb. Inako slumped forward onto Naruto's broad chest with a bit of saliva pouring out of her mouth onto it. Inako couldn't think of a single moment in her life that had felt better than this day. Getting up on her knees, she kissed Naruto again, but with much more control than before. That was amazing, Naruto. Inako whispered into his ear. Let's do it again. Az turned around and showed Naruto her plump. This is my clan's specialty. The doggy style, she said as sweat dripped from her body. Naruto smirked as he got on his knees and aligned his re-hardened rod with her slit and pushed into her. Inako gasped as Naruto started to her. Compared to the last time, this was 1,000,000 times better. Naruto pounded into her without restraint. They were so into their activities that they didn't notice two figures sneak into the room. Look at this, Hana-chan. A female voice said as Inako's mom, Chum, walked forward. Naruto looked up at the clan head of the Inazukis who walked into the room with her older daughter, Hana, behind her. Both were completely and smelled of lust. It's been almost 15 years since I was with a man, and Hana here is already of age and still single. And if she hadn't heard Inako's cry of pleasure, I would have worried that she would never marry. Chum said as she got on the large bed and placed her, in front of her youngest daughter's fac. Eat me out, Chum commanded her daughter. Inako didn't even fight back as she started to lick the hole she came from. Chum moaned lightly as she felt her daughter eating out of her. Hana moved next to Naruto and captured his lips. While Naruto had been a little conflicted at first, he took it in stride. Inako was too into the dick here that her mother and sister had joined in. Naruto continued to thrust into Inako before making 2 shadow clones. The 2 clones went around and got behind the 2 older Inazukas. The first clone dug his manhood deep into Hana's hole, causing her to break the makeout session she had going with the real Naruto to let out a scream as her hymen was ripped. When the other clone got behind Chum, he noticed that Inako was keeping Chum's busy, so he went for the next best thing, her. Plunging into her, Naruto's clone almost blew his load right there from how tight it was. The Inazuka clan's head wasn't any better as her eyes snapped open as her was stretched by Naruto's rod. This was her first time getting up there and the Naruto clone wasn't going to wait for her. Chum cried out in both pain and pleasure as Naruto drilled right into her. It was like nothing she had ever felt before. It was both amazing but painful, like nothing she had ever felt. Ah. That's it, Narukoi. Bang me like that. Tsunade cried out as she was up the anus by the blonde demon. Naruto grinned evilly and used Jinten to go even fast. Hana was also having the time of her life as the Naruto clone her just as hard as her mother was getting. Unlike before, she had now full embraced her feral side and started to lose control almost like her younger sister had just before. The entire compound could hear the cries of pleasures coming from the main house as Naruto rocked the worlds of the 3 Inazuka royalty. Every human and ninja dog looked at the house where the cries, moans, and howls of pleasures. Lucky dog. The man of the clan thought as they knew who was with their leaders and future leader. Back with Naruto, they 4 had changed the positions. Now Tsunade was on her back on the bed with her legs spread wide open while Naruto her and claimed her as one of his mates. Hana sat on top of her mother's face and made out with her sister while Naruto ate Inako out. Tsunade was eating Hana out while a clone butt Hana. Naruto's clone plowed into Hana's anus while groping her large D cups. Tsunade's were bouncing as round wildly as Naruto pounded into her and filled her up several times over as well as the other 2. Yes. I'm your, now. Tsunade yelled out as Naruto rammed into her. She was loving the power that he was putting behind each and every single thrust. Harder, faster. Hana howled out as Naruto ripped through her. She no longer felt pain from it but only pure pleasure. Her mind, like her sisters and mother's, were now completely focused on he hoped that none of them were pregnant. He wasn't ready to be a father yet, and who knew what would happen when he fought the Akatsuki again. Imagination. Naruto and Pain clashed together as both let loose their Shinra Tensei and blasted each other back. Before Naruto could charge at Pain again, he felt a tug on his pant. Looking down, he saw a feral-looking boy with blonde hair and brown eyes. Daddy, I made poop. The child said to his father. Pain looked at the scene awkwardly before started to chuckle before he erupted in laughter. Behind him the rest of the Akatsuki came up behind him and started to laugh at him, even Itachi, as he was forced to retreat to change his son. Real world. Naruto shuddered at the thought. The 4 eventually changed so that Hana and Inako were a dog position making out while Naruto and a clone both of their roar. Both of the girls had a constant stream of love juices coming out from their womanhood as Naruto further proved himself to be the god in bed. Tsunade was a bit away having an entire orgy by herself. She had a Naruto clone her while another her, she was giving another clone while another her large tits. Her arms weren't without use as she had 2 other clones hand jobs. She was no longer Tsunade, head of Inazuka, but rather Tsunade the Juubis, she started to call herself AF. Naruto and Inako told them the entire story. The 4 had been going at it for 4 hours now and were getting tired from the constant Naruto had already had about 10 orgasms between himself and the clones. Each of the girls had even more than Naruto. That day Naruto proved to everyone that he wasn't just a war god, but a god as well. He also, however, further solidified in the minds of many that he was Minato because he was known for the same thing before he got married to Kushina. Naruto laid next to the 3 girls who had started to refer to themselves as the Juubis, since, meant female dog and in turn was not a derogatory term within the clan with their mates. Next day, Naruto limped out of the Inuzuka compound and made his way back home to go pack for a trip to Kaminari no Kuni. After the meeting with Hiruzen, Danzo, and Jiraiya, Naruto got the idea to negotiate with the Raikage to get him to help out during the invasion. From his time in Kaminari no Kuni, he knew that they had a lack of wood for fires during the winter and much of the village had to suffer from the cold. He was sure that if he and the Raikage could come to a deal at the right price. And also the fact that he was a primordial god also gave him a backup plan if needed. The third Hokage had already agreed to Naruto's plan and had made Naruto the official negotiator between the villages. He didn't have to say bye to Narumi or Sayuri since both had already left to train with Jiraiya or Kazumi. After getting everything he needed, he waited for his temporary teammates, Genma and Yamato. The 3 were to head for the land of lightning and make contact with the squad of Kumo Jonin who would take them to the village. Hey there, Namikaze-sama. Genma said as he calmly walked towards the blonde. Genma had brown, shoulder-length hair which hung about his face and brown eyes. He wore his forehead protector like a bandana and the standard Jonin outfit and had his trademark senbon in his mouth. Genma-san, please just call me Naruto. The blonde said with a smile. The blonde was currently wearing his long-sleeve white haori which split into 10 tails at the waist. He wore black Anbu-style pants and long-sleeve shirt. Yamato isn't able to come with us. He was requested by Jiraiya Dono to help with Narumi's training. Genma said to the Bayu who nodded. That's all right. This will be an easy mission anyways. A few days later in Kaminari no Kuni, Naruto and Genma had finally arrived in the mountainous village after several days of travel. They were greeted at the border of the country by the squad of Kumo Jonin. Now Naruto and Genma were on their way to speak with the leader of the village. Naruto had to admit that the village was quite nice when it wasn't in the middle of war. We're here, one of the Jonins said as they arrived at the largest building in the village. Naruto nodded and entered the metal building. Excuse me, do you have an appointment with Raikage-sama? The receptionist asked the 2 shinobi. Yeah, we're here for the negotiations between the leaf and the cloud. I am Naruto Namikaze. I represent the Hokage in the matter. Naruto said in an even tone. In these kinds of situations, he had to stay calm and not let the other group get an edge in the negotiations. Here you are, the woman said as she pulled out a card. He'll be with you in a second. She finished as she left to go inform the Raikage that the Konoha negotiators had arrived. Naruto and Genma waited a bit before they heard a loud crash. Both were on guard when the receptionist came back down sweating bullets. The Raikage will now see you. Naruto and Genma walked to where the lady had told them the office was to find a large hole next to the door. I looked at them through the hole. Are the 2 of you just going to stand there all day? Come in. You can use the hole if you want, he said before he started to curl. Was a large dark-skinned man with hulking muscles. He had combed back nearly wild blonde hair with a small mustache and beard and pronounced cheekbones. He wore his Raikage haori leaving his chest out for display. So, the 2 of you want to negotiate with me, huh? Well, tell me what you're offering, said as he continued to curl the weight. Naruto nodded and summoned a scroll. This scroll has the terms of the deal. In exchange for Kumo's support during Orochimaru's attack on my village, Konoha will supply Kumo with a substantial amount of firewood and flora and fruits that are found within the fire country. Your village will also gain a generous monetary reward. Naruto went over the terms of the deal. Read over the scroll and checked to make sure that there were no hidden terms that would put his village at a what he could see there were none. So he had Mabui check just to make sure. There are no hidden parts of the deal. What they said was true. Mabui informed her leader, nodded slowly and turned to Naruto. We will accept these terms but something else has brought my attention. Said as he took out a scroll from his haori. A few days ago one of my best shinobi, Killer B, informed me that you were special. said as he gave Naruto the scroll. Genma-san, please go wait back at the tower entrance. Naruto said as his eyes gained a new serious undertone. His voice no longer held the warmth it once had. Naruto had gotten serious. The bandana wearing shinobi nodded and left the room. Naruto looked at Mabui. Does she know? The Raikage nodded. Yes, she has my absolute trust. After all, she is my wife. Said with a wide smirk as she smacked Mabui in the blue net, blushed deeply and hit her over the head before storming out of the room. Nice catch. Ha, I asked with a light chuckle. I'd say so. I recently took the hand of the Inuzuka clan head Tsume and her two daughters Hana and Inako at the same time. Naruto said with his own smirk. Good job, kid. Said as he nodded sagely. Naruto had to say that this world's A was way better than his world's. This A was still serious but knew how to be a guy, unlike the A back where he was from, who was approved to the highest degree. But back to business. While the fact that you're either the new Jubi or Rikadu Sennin does worry me, I have thought of a way to benefit both of us and your village. The Raikage said as he took out a scroll. What's this? Naruto said as he opened the scroll. It is a treaty between our villages. It will lower tariffs and tax rates between trade from one village to another, allow for mission to be carried out with shinobi from both villages in a pack, which if one of our villages gets into a war, the OTH will assist the other. Outlined the terms of the treaty. Furthermore, to solidify the treaty, Kumo will offer Yugito ni, Karui, and Yugito ni as your wives. They are to show how much trust I'm putting on you, since all three are like daughters to me. So, do you accept? Do they know about this? Naruto asked, since he didn't want to force others to marry him. Nodded. Yes, they were informed and agreed to it. They will go stay in your village as permanent Kumo shinobi stationed there and will be wed to you. So, do you accept the terms? Naruto nodded and shook the large man's hand, and much to A's surprise managed to match him in physical strength. It's been nice doing business with you, A Dono. Naruto said with a deep bow and picked up the two scrolls which A had signed for him. A let out a loud laugh. You might as well start calling me A soon, since you'll be married to my three adoptive daughters soon. Naruto smiled before walking back to Genma in the waiting room. Ready? Genma asked. Yeah. Let's just use Haration to go back. Naruto said as he grabbed Genma's shoulders as vanished in a split second. Back in A's office, the hulking man looked out his window at the village. I hope you can protect them, Naruto-san. Especially Yugito with what's to come. A thought to himself before going back to his paperwork. All the winners of the preliminaries had gathered at the Chunin exam stadium. The crowd roared as thousands shinobi and civilians from the Kumo, Konoha, and Suna plus many diplomats from all across continent. In the highest stand in the arena, the Raikage, Hokage, and Orochimaru disguised as the Kazekage sat. Naruto was standing next to the others down in the field. He had to hold back the urge to kill the many people in the arena himself, since many were muttering about how it was unfair that Minato Namikaze was in the exams. I'm not my father, Naruto thought to himself in rage. My name is Genma Shiranui. The original Proctor Hayate had an unfortunate accident during a mission. The bandana wearing shinobi said as he placed a senbon in his mouth. Naruto hadn't been able to make it back to the village in time to save Hayate, and he was still pissed about it. It was so long ago when it had happened back in his world that it had slipped his mind. How could I make such an oversight? I should have fixed this before I left. I'm sorry, Neko-chan. Naruto thought to himself in a bit of self-hatred. Neko had always protected him when he was younger in his world, and he had failed her when he could have saved the one she loved. The first match will now begin. Everyone other than Samui from Kumo and Hinata Hyuga of Konoha, please go to the participant section of the stands. Genma said. Everyone left to their seats except Samui and Hinata. Naruto sat between Sayuri and Narumi. So, do you think Hinata-san will win? Sayuri asked her lover, who shrugged. I don't really know. From what I can gather, they both have very similar bodies built for speed, but Samui's body has more muscle than Hinata, but will be slower. In terms of chakra and ability, Samui has more chakra by a small margin than Hinata and has better sword skills. Hinata, on the other hand, has her Byakugan and her Juken. However, I say that Samui will win if exactly who her father is has had an effect on her training. Naruto finished as the match started. Hinata let out a battle cry as she charged at her opponent. Her Byakugan was already active as she went to strike Samui down with a hit to the heart, which the busty blonde easily dodged. I will not lose. I will have my Narumi, she told herself as she continued to lash out at the Kumo Kunoiki. Samui was barely able to dodge all the attacks from the Hyuga. She's fast, the cold Kunoiki thought to herself as she dodged another what would be fatal strike. This is not cool, Samui mumbled as she jumped away from the Hyuga. Hinata glared at her and charged again. I can't beat her in hand-to-hand combat, but I have my sword, she thought as she drew her blade. Charging it with lightning chakra, she swung it in the air and released a wave of electricity at the Hyuga heiress. The Hyuga smirked as she gracefully dodged the attack and charged at the blonde. I will beat this Kumo, __, then I'll beat the worthless wannabe Yondaime Naruto and reclaim my love, Hinata thought to herself as she started a deadly dance with the Kumo Kunoiki. The two dodged each other nearly perfectly. Samui tried to slash at Hinata's midsection only for the lavender-eyed girl to jump over the attack and kick Samui in the face. The busty blonde went tumbling back from the kick, but managed to fix herself before she hit the wall. Lightning Shuriken Jutsu, Samui yelled as she threw several lightning-covered shuriken at Hinata, who smirked. Kaiten, Hinata yelled as she started to spin rapidly. The shuriken bounced harmlessly off the dome of chakra. Hinata stopped spinning and smirked at Samui, who kept her emotionless expression. Let's see how you handle this. 8 trigrams vacuum palm, the busty Hyuga said as pushed her palm forward and released a strong shockwave at Samui. As the shockwave neared the blonde preformed a string of hand signs. Raiden Thunder Push, Samui said as she copied Hinata's action, but let out a spinning cloud of lightning at Hinata. The two moves clashed and caused a huge explosion. Hinata was forced to avert her eyes because of her Byakugan, giving Samui enough time to get near her, but unlike before, her hands were covered in cloak of lightning. Raiden no Yorai Rengeki Chop, Samui spoke as she delivered a vertical chop. Hinata managed to react in time and got her arms up in a cross guard, but even then she could feel her bones cracking from the pressure of the attack. Seeing that her attack had been blocked, Samui jumped back away from the Hyuga before Hinata had a chance to strike her. Hinata knew that her arms were hurt now from the strong attack, but decided to continue to fight. I have to end this, she whispered so that no one could hear her. I will not be able to hit her with 64 or even 32 palms at this rate. So, time to test out my new move, Hinata thought to herself. Samui glared at the Hyuga. She blocked my attack. I guess that's kind of cool, but I have to finish this, the busty girl said as she threw a side glance at the Reikage who was looking down at the battle from where he and the other cages were. Time to end this. Gentle step twin lion fists, Hinata yelled as a shroud of chakra surrounded both her hands and took on the shape of lion heads. I couldn't agree more, Samui said coldly as she charged up the lightning cloak around her hands. Raiten number Yoroi Lightning Dragon's Claw, Samui stated as more and more lightning covered her hands until they looked like large claws. Both busty ladies glared at each other before they charged. The audience held their breath as the two genin got closer and closer before they finally clashed. The arena shook as a large cloud of smoke rose from the center where the two had clashed. Once the dust had cleared, everyone saw both Samui and Hinata standing in front of each with their fists to each other's jaw. No one made a sound as the two stood there with wide eyes. The seconds ticked away, but to everyone it felt like hours before the two collapsed on top of each other, giving a few perverts, including the Hokage, a small nosebleed when they saw both their massive chests pressing against each other. With the cages, Hiruzen quickly wiped his nose before he saw, well, that was a good battle. I believe both have shown that they have the power to become genin, but I don't think that Hinata is quite ready yet. She was too straightforward and swayed by her anger. Hiruzen spoke to the other cages. I nodded. While I admit that is true, she has a certain fiery to her which I can respect, I said as he kept his thoughts about his adoptive daughter to himself. I agree with you, Hokage Dono. That was a great battle, but I'm sure that the next one between my daughter and a living Namikaze will be even better, with the one between the Uzumaki and Uchiha being the second best of the finals. Orochimaru disguised as the Kazekage said after both Hinata and Samui had been cleared out of the arena. Genma walked to the middle. Would Naruto Namikaze and Sabaku no Gaara please come down the fighting area? Naruto smirked as he jumped over the railing and landed with a soft thud. Gaara allowed some of her sand to come out of her gourd and used it to form a platform and floated down to the other side across from Naruto. Give me father's blood. This is your chance to make mother very happy. Shukaku said in an insane voice in Gaara's head. Gaara had to resist the urge to hold her head as the Beiyu within her screamed its orders at her. Instead of fighting them, she just accepted them and looked at Naruto with extreme bloodlust filling her eyes. You Naruto Namikas will be the one who will prove my existence. Gaara said as more and more sand came out of her gourd and piled around her getting ready to attack to shield her during bat. TLE. Naruto grinned and drew his sword. It seems I'll be able to fully test out that jutsu. Naruto thought to himself as he got into a stance. The proctor started the fight and like that Gaara's sand was already on the move. Naruto jumped out of the way of the sand only to have it follow him. Jinten shadowless flight. Naruto whispered as he blurred out of existence. Gaara's sand rose behind her just in time to block a punch from Naruto, but most of the sand was blasted away from the force behind the attack. Naruto grinned as he slashed his sword only to have more sand come up to block it. Well, almost block it since the sand was parted by the blade and left a light scratch on Gaara's sand armor. Gaara's eyes widened when she saw that her ultimate defense wasn't able to block the sword. Hell, it let the sword go right through it. In the stands, Kankuro's and Temari's eyes widened when they saw the sword go through the sand like it wasn't even there. Naruto didn't have a chance to continue his assault as the sand turned to attack him. Naruto flipped away from the sand as it crashed into the sand continued to chance after Naruto, but the blonde Beiyu was far too fast for it. This is kind of fun. Naruto thought as he charged at the redhead again. The sand swirled around Gaara and turned into a massive sphere-like shield. A sphere of swirling black and white chakra appeared in Naruto's right hand, Rasengan. Naruto yelled as he smashed his jutsu into the shell. Sand spattered everywhere as the spiraling ball of doom drilled through the sand and hit Gaara in the stomach. Gaara shot across the arena into the wall. Her gourd of sand exploded into a massive cushion to protect her from smashing into the arena wall. Her entire sand armor was cracked from the sheer force of the jutsu. Gaara pushed herself off the wall and glared at Naruto with hatred. Her eyes for a second transformed into that of Shukaku. Give up, Gaara. You can't win. Maybe we can go out for lunch after the exams are over. Naruto asked her in a smooth voice. Gaara blushed at the offer, but her thoughts of maybe accepting it was pushed away by Shukaku. Gaara didn't even respond as her sand rushed at Naruto again, who held out his sword. Her eyes widened when she saw the sand stop dead in its tracks. What the hell? Gaara uttered when she saw her sand stopped by itself. Sabaku K's is a special sword I got from a friend a while ago. It is the sword of the desert winds, and it gives me enough control over sand to stop all of your attacks. Naruto said before he charged at the Jinchuriki. Gaara was forced to move now that she knew that his sword could bypass her defense and stop her attacks to an extent. Sand drizzle. Gaia said as she sent a large cloud of sand into the air before it started to pour down in small lumps. Naruto smirked as he swung his sword over his head to deflect anything that would have hurt him. He didn't feel like using the Rinnegan yet, so he would stick with his advantage with the Sabaku Kakaku until he felt it was the right time to use his secret technique. That's not enough, Gaia-chan. Desert heat. Naruto yelled as he swung his blade releasing a wave of superheated wind at the busty redhead. Gaia's defense rose to block the attack was so hot that it turned some of Gaia's sand into perfect glass. This is getting fun, but let's see you block this. Naruto said as he started to stir the air above him. A red sphere appeared over his as red wind spun around it. Gaia brought up her ultimate defense as Naruto leapt high into the air. Shukaku could feel the Beiyu chakra within the attack and added even more sand and his own chakra into Gaara's barrier. Dragon Twister. Naruto yelled as he swung his sword and threw the attack at Gaia. It was one of his newer attacks which he developed during the month. It was basically like the Raisin Shuriken only that it was real wind around the sphere of Beiyu chakra instead of only wind nature chakra. The attack hit Gaia's shield straight on and expand into a massive dome of red wind with a purplish glow in the middle. The range of the attack was as large as the arena and the strong winds reached even the cages in their booth. Everyone in the stands had to cover their eyes as wind and sand was thrown all over the arena. What power! I yelled out to Sarutobi. He had been there when Naruto practiced it in one of Kumo's training grounds. He had insisted that Naruto and Genma stay in Kumo for a few days to rest before going back and had given them permission to use his training ground. He never expected it to be turned into a wasteland in a single move from the blonde. He knew that if the blonde had hit him with it at full power, he would not have been able to fight even with his armor. Thank God he didn't use it at full power, a thought to himself. This is a new one really. I've never seen him use it before, the Sarutobi yelled back over the howling winds. He practiced it back in Kumo. This isn't even it at full power. I say this is only at half strength just to not kill the girl. Responded to the old man. He'll make me proud. A thought about how powerful the boy was and how it would benefit his village since they were now family through Naruto marrying his adopted daughters. As the wind cleared, it revealed a panting Gaara. Half her body was the color of sand and cracked to the point where it was breaking apart. The right side of her face, right arm, and left leg weren't like that, but were covered in small cuts. You pathetic girl. Father's not even using his true power yet he's kicking your. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Shukaku roared within Gaara's head, forcing her to hold her head. Sand swirled around her and rapidly fixed her armor. Naruto became serious when he saw the insanity filling her glaze. This is my blood. My blood. I'll kill you. She screeched as Shukaku was now completely made her lose her mind as she sent massive amounts of sand at Naruto, who saw that he had no escape from this attack without endangering the audience. Since the sand was surrounding him and was going to crush him from all directions. Naruto smirked as he let the sand wrap around him as his sword started to glow. Sand coffin, Gaara said as she panted. Sand berry. She was never able to finish her jutsu as the sand coffin exploded in a light that blinded everyone who was looking at it. As the light faded, they saw a new figure standing in the arena that wasn't Naruto since he was next to the man. This man was a fair-skinned redhead with black rings around his green eyes. On the left side of his forehead was the kanji for love. He wore full-length dark trousers with a pair of laces on each leg, respectively a few inches below the waist and the knees, a long-sleeved crimson coat with flaring H.M. lines and slits down on the lower half of the front and the back, a gray holster vest held in place by a single strap over his left shoulder and by two buckled belts which he uses to carry his gourd. He also wore another pair of casually worn belts around his waist. His arms were crossed as he stared into Gaara's eyes. It's been a while, hasn't it, Gaara? So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.